This is a microphone test. If you can hear me, hit 1 and like the stream. Some nice warm tea coming. Always good. Okay, everyone, I'm going to lower the volume somewhat of the music anyway, not my voice, because why would I do that? Anyway. What a week, am I right? If you're watching the stream right now, hit like and share and get this thing going. But for right now, let's switch gears. There we are. Welcome everyone to another one of these. Oh, I forgot to switch the goals. 1 second, let me fix that. No, I'll adjust next time we roll. But it's all good. Thank you everyone for joining on this stream today. We have hopefully a good show for you guys tonight. Hopefully, we'll find out. It's been a wild weekend. Has anyone else felt that too? It's been like a really chaotic weekend. Like people keep like subscribe and like and all that good stuff. Yeah. So make sure you like and subscribe. That's what you want to do. It's actually pretty crazy. It feels like everyone's getting into fights this weekend. It's nuts. It's so many like just random. Super chat coming in.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $2. No, I love boosters in the thumbnail. SMH.
I have not seen boosters yet. I've not seen I Love Boosters yet. I've heard good things though. I've heard it's very NSFW, which I'm sure will impact a few. Like, I always love it when like it's a very NSFW movie that like families bring their kids to. Like there was years ago, I remember watching Watchmen when it first came out. That was when I was still in high school, and they were like families who were thinking like, oh, it's like Spider-Man. I'll bring my my son, my daughter. It'd be great. My little 6-year-old's gonna love Watchmen, and then it was a mass exodus during the Vietnam scene, where every single parent who brought their kid when the pregnant Vietnamese woman confronts the comedian about every single person in that theater who had a kid with them just got up and walked away, and I realized 1/4 of the theater had emptied out at that point. And that's when I knew this movie's not going to do well next week. This is not going to have a good second week. All these parents are going to go and tell their families like, I took my son to see the Watchmen movie, and there was bad things in it. Can't show my kids that. Yeah, that's why you gotta be a little educated when you bring your kids to see movies. You gotta look at the what's in there. But yeah, no, it's been a chaotic week, and not just with me. Although we'll get to that briefly. There's been a bunch of people who have gotten into fights over this weekend, not just on Blue Sky, but like in like videos and back and forth. It's actually kind of wild to me, like how many people keep getting into arguments. They didn't look at the R rating. No, they didn't look at the R rating. They didn't look at any of this stuff. They just kind of blindly jump in, like it's crazy. But yeah, no. So there's been some drama. We'll talk about that for a bit. But I want to really focus on the Mandalorian and Obsession, because a lot of people have been hitting these two movies against each other as though these are the two movies to really compare. Did not save? Hang on a second. This is not saved. Reset.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. So what are our honest thoughts on State of Star Wars?
Honestly, there's a lot of thoughts I have on State of Star Wars. Some are really good.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $4.99. As someone who enjoyed Mondo, I find it hard to even trust people I like's opinions. How much is genuine, rage bait, or algorithm chasing?
That's the thing too. It's hard to trust anyone's opinions nowadays. Like I used to just trust. Back in the day, I used to watch Chris Stuckman's videos for like a pretty honest review, but now he just loves everything. It's very hard. Even critics who are pretty well established, they feel like they're jumping on trends. I've said for a while that it was an echo because I was trying to adjust some of the scuff on stream. For a while, I've kind of assumed that Jeremy Jahns, if it's Star Wars, he's gonna hate it because he just seems to have like he's jumped so hard on the anti-Star Wars train. It's kind of hard to gauge authentically what he thinks anymore. Plus, I don't know. I have an issue when it comes to someone who compliments the Sound of Freedom. I feel like if you praise the Sound of Freedom too much, I don't trust your movie opinions. Just in general. And like the thing is, I have always been. It's always weird with me in Star Wars, right? Because people act as though I am the biggest Disney simp in some circles, but meanwhile, I've like said most of what they've made is garbage. So it's like, what is this? Like, it's funny because like. I think a lot of it is not garbage. That's too strong a word. But I think a lot of it isn't particularly strong. Not as strong as it could be because you're trying to really. Oh, play nice. Yeah, listen to Chloe. Play nice in the comments, guys. But I feel like with this new Mandalorian film, you're really sorting out a lot of cases of people. Chloe Mum's in chat. Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to mod the chat today. I feel like with a lot of the Star Wars movies, they become just entertainment first and foremost, which is fine. That's good. I don't use this word lightly. A lot of Star Wars hate feels very performative today. Agreed. No, Wave Runner's entirely correct. And here's the thing too. I gotta say, people act like new Star Wars is somehow terrible, and act like all the old stuff was great. Well, let you in on something secret. Most of the old stuff was trash too. You just forgot about it or didn't know it was coming out. Like a lot of the stuff from the Rise of Skywalker, people hate, like the old Palpatine coming back. That started from Dark Empire, the comic series, where they basically rip off the plot of Ghostbusters 2 with Palpatine. Yeah, no. Dark Empire is just, and this is a hot take maybe, it's just a rip-off of Ghostbusters 2 with Palpatine. That's my hot take. And it brings Boba Fett back. Andor, though, is one of the best pieces of Star Wars media, I'd say, since Empire. I think Andor is absolutely incredible. I think it's a great work of art. I think it's absolutely breathtaking. I've worked with a couple of Jessie Genders videos, so I've done some line reads for her, and I've seen a lot of what she said about it, and I kind of echo a lot of that same sentiment. I think it is a great work of anti-fascist art. I think there is a lot of components there that are constructive in a way that's really rallied people, I think, and protests and the like. I think that's incredible. And if I sound a little funky, it's only because I'm feeling slightly under the weather this week. I'm not feeling at my 100%, so I apologize if I sound a little nasally at points. But no, it's all good stuff. So this weekend has had some mild drama. It's actually funny. We're actually on the subreddit. We're on the YouTube drama subreddit this week. Let me tell you about that. Oh, the new actor that was cast in Avengers Doomsday, apparently.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $4.99. Your one wish, Willow?
Oh.
Mine'd either be for I and my wife to live our best lives together, or for people to have at least 49% more empathy for all peeps.
Oh, that's a tough one. You see, my thing was I wouldn't even use it. I wouldn't use it. Wishes, you never play the monkey's paw. Except even like the, hey, I just got $1 billion gag from the movie. I love that, because that's like the most logical wish. Like, I wish for $1 billion. Money rains down. Well, I always think back to some be careful what you wish for stories go like, I wish I had $1 million, right, back in the day. And they get the $1 million from the inheritance of multiple relatives dying and coming to them. Like, that's the there's always a way. Listen, the house always wins, is what I want to get at. The house always wins. And when it comes to wishes like that, the house will eventually win. Don't you worry about that. We'll get there. Okay, go away. I hate how my timeline now has the Fu Manchu movies from the 20s and 30s on it. Because the video I'm working on right now is about whitewashing and blackface and yellowface. So what better place than Fu Manchu and Charlie Chan? If you know who Charlie Chan and Fu Manchu are, you get I'm not sure if it's a point of honor. You feel happy about knowing about that. If you've seen a full one of these, you have my apologies. These movies are painful to sit through. They're not even good. Nicolas Cage will not show up so far. But I might add him in because that gag is too easy to go wave. I'm not going to lie. If anyone doesn't know what they're talking about, there was the movie Grindhouse that came out a few years ago. Now about 15, 20 years ago. And they had all these fake trailers between. One of them was it Wolf Women of the SS, the Rob Zombie one? And they had Fu Manchu show up in the trailer, and Fu Manchu was played by Nicolas Cage. It's a great gag. Fu Manchu is, basically, Naruto, you're right. He's basically the quintessential anti-Asian caricature. Everything racist that you could imagine coming out of the 20s and 30s is in Fu Manchu.
At Sundrop Center Super Chatted $1.99. The Sheep Detectives is May's underdog.
Yes.
No doubt.
I have not seen The Sheep Detectives, but from what I've heard, that's the underdog of the day, I think. That is a serious underdog contender for Best of May. And so is The Backrooms coming out this week.
At AmeriAsia 3987 Super Chatted $6.81. Can't sleep, so May is share that I always wanted to be the bad guy in a horror game on bucket list with visiting cool countries and road trip with bro.
That'd be amazing, honestly. I would love that.
At Lupin the Maelstrom Super Chatted $5. Didn't Curry Barker say it's technically not a monkey's paw or a jerkos genie? You just need the right wording and purity of intention in the wish.
That's also true, too. Because the thing is also with the monkey... I mean, Curry Barker also said he was inspired by the Simpsons short about the monkey's paw. From the Treehouse of Terror. Treehouse of Horror. Which I love. I love how that's his point of reference for the monkey paw story. I think for me, my monkey paw reference would be the Tales from the Crypt movie. The short segment about the monkey's paw in that one is my monkey's paw point in reference, but still, I do get that, and that's why the people who had the wish, some of them were happy with the right wish. It's just Bear's an asshole. That's what it comes down to. Bear is a terrible person and a selfish coward, and that's what it comes down to. Now, I do want to pick up a couple things, points of drama first before we dive into the topic at hand, because we are going to do some reactions to some reviews that have come out about the Mandalorian and Grogu, some of the commentary surrounding it. But I do want to address a couple of small things. For one, I want to celebrate all of you. Everyone, give yourselves a round of applause right now. One's in the chat for celebrating yourselves, because you helped accomplish something great this weekend. Pyramid Head, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Obsession was great. Mando was okay. That is going to be a common consensus, I feel like, with this review. We'll get to that in a second, because I've seen both, and I have my opinions on both. But you all deserve ones in chat. Now, why do you deserve ones in chat? Well, because of how everyone was able to rally together after... Oh, 1 second. This is coming in. Big one.
At Eshan especially 04181 Super Chatted $10. I'm sure the big mouse doesn't like you, and
no.
You tell them to pay their works and put effort into their movies.
Yep.
Thank you, Ant, for helping Crimson End on Blue Sky.
Listen, it was not just me. It was all of you as well. That's why I'm telling you all to give yourself an applause right now, because all of you helped with that. To give us a brief summary of the situation, because I do not want this to be a drama stream, though I am going to discuss a couple bits of drama early on. There was a large sprawling incident involving YouTube musician Patricia Taxon. Patricia Taxon is a controversial figure, to put it mildly. Now, she used to be a figure of influence in various circles online, but gradually over time fell out of favor. And the reason why she fell out of favor is because she was very, very, very uncomfortable to be around. She was very... she had certain hyperfixations, which we're not going to get into right now, that alienated people. Including H-Bomber Guy. Now, apparently what happened before, as I understand it, was that Patricia did not get why people didn't want to be around her anymore, wondered why all of her former friends abandoned her, and H-Bomber Guy made a post kind of alluding that he deleted shortly after, like it was only for 10 minutes, alluding to how, there was someone online questioning why all of her friends don't talk to her anymore, while also saying she went on long tangents about like the in defense of Lolicon or whatever. And no one mentioned her, but she mentioned it. She put herself in a situation revealing that H-Bomb Guy was referring to her in that deleted post, went on a whole tangent, and I kind of made a post going, this is why no one talks to you anymore, Patricia. This is why no one wants to be with you. And this spiraled into a huge thing on Blue Sky. And I took this like a day after it happened. So, yeah, exactly.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Patricia Taxon is a girl on the internet.
Exactly. Now, I'm not interested right now in starting an ethical debate on different subcultures or anything like that. My belief always has been like all art. I am very anti-censorship, but I have to sometimes question why you want to defend certain types of art over others. But anyway, so the problem was that the Taxon thing. Yeah, it's been a time. But the problem is that, bizarrely enough, even though I was the one getting into the biggest argument, people around me kept getting targeted the most. Like fucking Lady Emily got targeted. What did she do? She didn't even talk about the topic. And they started lambasting her. Who else got involved? There's a few people who got involved. Like, it was rough.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $1.99. Watch Game Overs?
Not yet.
So,
I want to. I haven't done yet. So another example was Melody No Surname. She commented a few times. I like Melody. We've talked a few times. She's really cool. And she made a couple comments, and it just got lambasted by people. I guess they saw she responded to me, and they just got hounding her. But the worst was Krim. Because Krim had a year ago talked to some people who made allegations about Patricia. Now, this is not going to be an allegation stream. It's not like, no. The back music. You're right.
Parade super chatted $2. The background music is really adding to this LMAO.
I know, right? Perfect situation for this.
At the Carter Sauce super chatted $5. Regarding the Steam title, plot twist. MK2 is the film that won May.
Hell yeah. I mean, listen. It wasn't a flawless victory, but
it was a fatality. At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $1.99. Also back from the Creature Shop tour.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. And yeah, I did hear about Gooseworks, which is fucking awful. Like, it was like, what was it? Like a Jackbox joke that they were trying to cancel Goose over? Like, what is this? Like, what is going on here? Anyway, so... Yeah. So that's the thing. Oh, Wade brought up a good point. So another thing was that Patricia's fans target trans creators by bombarding them on the Shinigami Eyes. Shinigami Eyes is an add-on to browsers and stuff like that to make sure you are alerted to people who are transphobic or acceptable to talk to if you're a trans person. And basically they had lambasted Krim, who was green previously, into being red. But the problem is that the eyes, I've also been informed by several trans people, have long been manipulated by certain parties where people like Shoe on Head are green, but like everyone in the intersex or non-binary tag on Tumblr is red. Like, it's really strange.
At Andrew Brown 9981 super chatted $5. The film that won May was Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway Sorcery of the Nymph Circe.
Exactly. That would be, honestly, anything Gundam wins. That's the default. If Gundam's up, it wins. So what ends up happening is Krim, of all people, gets bombarded by these fans, and his account gets taken down. Now, Crimson Ender is, of course, thumbnail artist. He's worked on many projects. He's the guy who created those lovely little puppets that were for the Shadiversity Child of the Conqueror video. That's all Krim. And Krim's a friend of mine, and his account gets taken down. He's on stream, and it gets taken down. For coordinated harassment campaigns. Now, I knew it was Patricia's fans who did it, because several of those fans who have been like in Patricia's inner circle came up on my feed saying your friend Krim got taken down for like what was it, like coordinated harassment, and they all said the exact same phrasing, which told me, okay, that's what they mass reported him for. That's the thing they plugged into the Blue Sky report system with. And so what happened is I got to work quickly. I was like, okay. I made a post on YouTube saying, listen, Krim got banned off Blue Sky. Let's contact Blue Sky moderation. This is an automated decision. Let's try to reverse it. David Deister, I think you remember for 9 months, the best movie in May is The Sheep Detectives. That's a big contender. You may put that into the running as well. That'd be fun. And so, within a couple of hours, Krim's account was restored, because as it turned out, there was just not enough evidence to ban it. And that's why I'm like, okay, listen, let's dial down a little bit here. What's going on here? What are we actually arguing over here? Let's take a step back. I still think that Patricia is a very dangerous person to be around. I think that she is not someone to be safe with, but I also don't think there's any point in arguing on Blue Sky about it. I think the important thing is that someone tells her to get help. She needs help of a serious nature.
At the Waverner super chatted $5. As we all know, the use of Shinigami eyes in Death Note have only been unbiased and used to take down only objectively bad people.
Always.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $2. MK2 was fine but felt oddly empty, dunno why.
Well, it's a superficial. It's an action film like that. I mean, I don't know.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $4.99. Also, Psy is to take on Lily's Studio Ghibli video tomorrow.
Jesus Christ!
The damage Lily has done cannot be understood by science.
That's a dangerous thing for Psy to do for a channel, because Studio Ghibli lawyers don't play around.
At Eva Cody 1249 super chatted $5. The last movie I saw in the theaters was Gladiator 2. Free tickets. I spend more money on going to concerts.
You know what though? Concerts though, that's something. That's a whole experience right there. But yeah, no. So one thing I've always talked about with different people online is that when you put Studio Ghibli stuff in your video, you're gonna get your channel demonetized. That's just what's gonna happen, because the Ghibli lawyers are, unless you have like a 3-second clip, they will jump on you to demonetize, strike down, completely derail your channel in the algorithm. Those guys do not play around. So I don't even bother with them. They're just dangerous. But yeah, Lily Orchard's Ghibli video, how is that doing in the algorithm? I want to take a look at that right now, because I feel like that video is like the death knell of her channel. Oops, super chat coming in.
At Glitchaglitch 3119 super chatted $19.99. Hey, I just got here, me, Glitchico, the silly artist who is always late to an Anthony Gramuglia stream.
Hey, thanks.
Dunno what you're talking about, but I just graduated college on Friday, and my birthday happened on Saturday.
Congratulations! That's wonderful. Happy birthday, and congrats on graduating. It's a big accomplishment.
At the _design_spirit super chatted 42 cents. What's your current views on Power Rangers reboot?
I don't have a strong opinion. I am curious though. I'm curious what they're going to do with that. But no, like, this is the thing right here. So, CD Cal, which is Lily Orchard's current account, her Ghibli video has 14K views. It's 2 hours long. And mind you, I'm not going to argue that my views are always perfect. They're not. But this took her 4 months to make. So, I feel that's a sign her channel is kind of falling off. And I don't think it's worth anyone really giving it more attention.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $4.99. Lily is a virus that infects the people who react to her.
That's true. Well, also, I was going to talk about this at some point, but I've kind of debated on doing it or not, whether or not. The thing is, the people who sought out Lily the most are people who are already inclined. Oh, CD Cal's mentioning Utena again. Let me get my sort of deals. If she does, that would be something horrible. She did a whole bunch of videos on Utena because she knows that Psy loves Utena and does it just to piss her off. Most of Lily's videos are done to piss people off. That's entirely why she does it. Um, yeah, not alive. Yeah, no, there is a channel that is not alive anymore. We are not alive anymore. They're such cool guys. I love those guys. I always forget that one of the people on that channel is like a writer for Dead Meat too. I always forget that. They seem cool. And did something else for like one of those videos in. Wait, let me bring it up again. Which one was that? 1 second. History. 1 second. Let me bring that back up. I missed that one. Super chat?
At the guy 493 super chatted $5. Obsession is an old school EC horror story. The discourse about making the main character nicer is missing the point.
Exactly.
Bad people get their just reward.
It really is entirely like an old EC, old school Tales from the Crypt episode. And indeed, Tales from the Crypt did do a Monkey Paw episode that was very good in terms of that same style. Yeah, this one, Chloe, the reflections on LGBT rep on noxious discourse. Yeah, that one was bad. I don't think we reacted to it though when it came out. I don't think it was really worth it. But again, like her views just aren't like worth engaging with. Like her previous video did 6.9K on Warcraft, 4-minute video. Like her Pokemon retrospective is 600K, and a lot of that was boosted from my video performing well. But she's not worth anyone's time. She's not. She's not really worth anyone's effort because she's just a husk of a person. And it's sad. You know, it is sad. Although that being said, though, she does have a new friend in the form of Patricia Taxon. So there you go. Which is a bizarre how they congregate. I think it's Taxon. I think who's the other person? I forget her name.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $1.99. Sai is stupid for falling into Lily's trap.
Really? Yeah. Like, there's no value in... Like, there's no value in responding to Lily Orchard. Sai should not do it. Like, at this point, it's done. We've accomplished the goal. Lily is not taken seriously in any critical fashion. CD Cal, that whole rebrand, completely threw off the own name recognition her channel had. And her videos have slowed to a halt, and they're just not doing all that well because she's not relevant. She refuses to change and adjust and modernize her tastes in media or respond to things that are recent. So it's like, come on.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Will you discuss Backrooms on stream? No spoilers.
I can't because I haven't seen it yet. I wish I could. But Chloe's a good point here. You're ratioing her in video format. Her views are getting several K views, but you have 1 million. Yeah, it's true. And the Shadiversity video is going to cross 1 million, I think, within the next few months, I think. At the rate it's going at, I think it will be the second video that crosses 1 million. If not the Pokemon Lily React. Which you know what? That's great. I think it's incredible. I'm really happy about that. But yeah, no. Sai reacting to Lily, I don't understand why. But there's been a couple other arguments, too, I've noticed. I want to bring up quick mention of because I just think it's interesting before we dive into the Mandalorian and the Obsession discussion, because I think it's very intriguing. Yeah, it's just this stirring the pot is what it is. So there's recently a controversy, too. I want to make sure I got a... Okay, she never really got back to me on that. Okay, it's fine. I'll talk about it real quick. So... one bit of drama I've been seeing, and people have asked me about it. The only reason I'm bringing it up right now because I feel like it's not worth a full discussion. It looks like it's a very, I don't know. I don't think it's worth discussing. There's been a bit of an argument between creators over the Neil Gaiman accusations from like a couple of years ago. And as someone who has a history with all of that, I figured I might as well bring it up and talk about it.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $1.99. Who would win in a fight? Star Giant or Sai?
Sai. Easy Sai. It's not even a question.
At Glitch 3119 super chatted $9.99. Quick. Tell me which starter Pokemon you're picking for Wind Waves and what their name will be depending on the gender. As a birthday present for me, I'm joking.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair. I'll do it as a birthday present. I really like the the fire crocodile on that.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $5.10. This reminds me of Hillary Lane weird views on modern fantasy and GRRM. It's unrelated, but they both seem to try to rage bait.
No, exactly. That's what it is. It's all rage bait. Okay, let me get back right now. Let me get these Pokemon out, because I'm getting mixed up with the previous starters. Okay, here we go. Because I still have not committed the names to memory. That's not the picture. 1 second. Because I still haven't committed the names to memory. Let's take a look right now. So, I usually go with the grass starters, personally. Usually I'm a grass starter kind of guy. However, this little fire puppy is so adorable and so precious. It's hard not to, like, just immediately love it. But it's too cute. That's the problem. You see, there's cute and then there's unearned extra cuteness. This is unearned extra cuteness. It's too cute. It is designed in a lab. It's artificially the most adorable thing in the world, and while I need 15 of them in my house as plushies, I can't in good conscience say I'm going to choose it, because it feels unfair. That being said, this bird is perfect. This is a beautiful bird. I love this bird. The level of tired sass is amazing.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $4.99. I don't want Sai to win, but I like to see Ryan lose.
Listen. It's very hard to find a race where I don't want Ryan to lose. He's just the worst.
At Lupine Calibrator super chatted $2. Rage for Rage just makes cannibalized content.
Rage, exactly. And it's kind of like at a certain point you're like, okay, when are you going to say something original and distinct? Where is your perspective on everything, you know? But anyway, I do want to bring up briefly this Neil Gaiman thing. So, who was the creator? Schmouder, I think his name is. Schmouder, yes, Schmouder. Let me bring this up real quick. I'm not going to play anything here because I don't really want to give this too much attention. Especially because the account is very small, and in fact, all the accounts involved are substantially small. I don't want to make it a big deal. However, here's the story. Recently, the account Schmouder did a reaction video to an article sweeping Neil Gaiman over the accusations. This Substack article has been showing up in everyone's feeds for like months now. This guy, he came to like every single post I made and was like, listen, he was falsely accused. My article proves it. And every time I'm like, get the fuck away. Go. I don't want to talk to you. Because, like, I've had enough. I don't want to fucking talk about this topic.
At DJLOL5 super chatted $2.35. Did you hear the GR8 news? Fat Seater is banned.
They banned Backseater finally. Oh, about time. He only made like a few hundred videos about me. Oh, man. I'm not surprised he got banned. That seems inevitable. I was wondering why I hadn't heard from him in a while.
At Tall King Movie Bubbles B6N super chatted $4.99. I know Sai's watching right now, so let's have her input on this rolling on the floor laughing.
I would be shocked if Sai was watching. I don't see why she would.
At Glitchaglitch 3119 super chatted $1.99. You never said what the starter's name would be.
Okay. Let's go across the board. I don't usually nickname my starters, but for you for your birthday and for graduation, I'll do it for you. Okay, here we go. We're gonna name this one Cannabis, Bird's Cannabis. We're going to name this one Old Yellow, and this one is Newt. I'm gonna name it Newt. Very original, I know. I do like all these starters, I'm not going to lie. I kind of dig all of them. They're all kind of great. I know some people are like, oh, they can't stand out like one or two of the starters, but like Old Yellow here is perfect. Anyway, again, this account is very small. That one brought too much attention to it. So he did a whole thing about this Substack article, and because the article cited Council of Geeks video on the matter, he started criticizing that video. Now Council of Geeks video was from when the allegations first came out, following the original podcast. Now, What a lot of people have to remember is that when these allegations first came out, there's a lot of misinformation. In part because of shoddy reporting from Tortoise Media. But oh yeah.
At DJLOL5 super chatted $2.35. I'd name them Green Thing, Yellow Thing, and Bluey.
Exactly. A lot of misinformation is being spread around. A lot of people didn't understand. There was confusion. There was uncertainty. And a lot of that's because of the shoddy reporting from the Tortoise Media. And, of course, Tortoise Media was partially run by Boris Johnson's sister. So a lot of people, myself included, couldn't help but think there was some political angle to how the article was written. Now, new article comes out with New Yorker and all that.
At Glitch 3119 super chatted $4.99. I would name the grass one Ginger, the fire one Missile, and the water one William. I'll stop super chatting now, lol. That's fair. William's a very dignified name. I respect that a lot. And again, like I was caught up in this too. I got mixed up with a lot of it too. A lot of this information was not informative enough, I thought initially. But this video goes into a lot of debunking, caused a bit of a back and forth between Council of Geeks, who I'm friends with. I like Council of Geeks. She's really cool. Vera is a legitimately really cool creator. And, you know, she tried her best with the information that she was given. You know, I think the original videos that she put out, given what we knew at the time, yeah, this was a great name. I love that one. Was the best video you could make on this topic, given what we knew. But what Vera did as more information came out was adjusted. You know, she made more videos. She adjusted her perspective. Like most people, when you learn new information, you reassess what you think and you make more stuff about it accordingly. I think it's really great. Now, Schmouder is a very small channel. Incredibly small. And I do not want to pile on hate or animosity towards this channel. He's very small. That's fair, you know? But, you know, listen. There was misinformation that was communicated to everyone. People tried sorting through it. Better information came out. Everyone adjusted their perspectives. That's how things should go. And as someone who constantly has my own words thrown back at me over stuff I said during this thing, I feel bad for Council of Geeks. I really do. It's not fair that, you know, we take a video that was made under limited information and act as though it should have known everything we know now. It's just not possible. And the podcast did miscommunicate a lot. It was a long podcast. It was not extremely clear and accessible with what people knew about. And yet, people who were even listening to it made errors, myself included, when listening to it, because it just didn't communicate everything in as clear a fashion as possible. Did it communicate it? Yeah, but it didn't communicate as well as it could have. And I feel like this video and its follow-up video, I feel they're a little unfair to Council Geeks' perspective. But that also said, there's nothing wrong with criticizing the Substack article. In fact, Council of Geeks also criticized the Substack article. Where I have issues, and mind you, I haven't watched everything. That is said, I think from what I've seen, they really do a bad job communicating Vera's point. Having seen Vera's original videos, and having seen the version that is communicated through Schumer's video, I don't think his video is entirely in good faith. I don't think it's entirely in bad faith, but I do not think he's acting entirely in good faith, and that's causing a lot of hate to be directed towards Vera. But at the same time, Schumer's a very small channel. The person, though, I am going to criticize a little more is someone entirely different, a third party who kind of got into this discussion and who was a bigger channel than Schumer and made it more of a moral issue that I have a little issue with. And I don't think this channel deserves to be like lambasted or anything like that. But
I don't know. I just think this wasn't the best decision for this person to butt into this matter. And that is... okay, let me bring this up real quick. No, not... What am I doing? Okay, let me bring this up real quick. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay. So we have, yeah, so by the way, the, okay, YouTube drama, okay, Reddit is not loading fast for me at all. Why is it so hard? Why do we do this? Okay, Reddit's not working. Not fast enough anyway. Yeah, no. Of course, everything is so slow. Anyway, nothing ever works. Anyway. It's not important. Anyway, point is, though, other YouTubers have been jumping into the situation and making a big muck of everything. And I don't think it's very effective. I think there's a nuanced discussion to be had about videos that are outdated, that contain outdated information, because you can't remove them. The YouTube algorithm will punish you if you omit or unlist or even delete videos from the algorithm. So you're encouraged, even if you have a bad take, to leave it up, because if you don't, it may hurt your standing in the algorithm. There's a monetary reason you do not. So, and again, I think a lot of what is being said is being twisted, but I also don't want to pile on a small creator. I'm only talking about this because people kept asking me about it. But I'm on Vera's side. I want to make that very clear. Vera is a very talented creator. She has done the work. She's distanced herself from this Substack article defending gaming, as have everyone else who is possibly connected to the story. No one supports him. It's very clear. All parties agree that Gaiman's actions were horrendous. So I just don't understand why we are relitigating that controversy right now, years after it happened, as though Vera would have known all the stuff we know now. I just don't understand that. It seems to me very much like a problem I'm seeing throughout the literary discussion field, which is purity testing past perspectives based on present information. Not present philosophies, but information that was not known in the past that is known now. It's like going back to, say, like, it's like going back to Jesse Ginger's op-ed about J.K. Rowling and trying to petition to J.K. Rowling not to attack trans people and act like, well, she should have known that J.K. Rowling would go on to donate millions to anti-trans causes. It's like it didn't happen yet, so we can't judge past actions based on events that hadn't happened yet. You know? I don't know. I just think it's a bad faith argument. I don't think it really makes sense, and it's something I want to make sure no one does because it's just not good form. Anyway, let's talk about obsession and Star Wars. That's what everyone's here for, right? Yeah, just want to talk about that because it was on my mind. Again, it's just a few thoughts. I don't have any like declarative statements on it, but I don't know. I just hate when I see people who I think are really talented getting dragged into drama, and I don't really want to attack the smaller account either. But you know, yeah. How do you not see the literal future? That's what I'm talking about. I don't know. I just think it's I don't know. I think it's a little bad to do what they're doing, and I hope it resolves itself well. I don't want anyone, because I don't think that I don't think anyone deserves to be like canceled or anything like that. I think it is just a matter of, you know, an overzealous young small account trying to make a big splash. But I don't know.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. Will there be Obsession spoilers this stream?
I'm going to try to avoid early on spoilers for either film. When we got into reviews and reactions, people may say things that I'm not expecting. So I'm going to react to them for the first time. But for right now, I'm not going to spoil anything from Obsession or from The Mandalorian and Grogu. When we get to video responses, though, that's where things get a little iffy, because it's outside my control. It's someone else doing it. I'd have to watch the videos first, and that requires effort that I can't do. If you delete hide a poor production video, oh wow, this person's hiding their heinous take. Yeah, exactly. If you leave it up, wow, this person still endorses the statement. Yeah, you can't win. And the internet it kind of encourages you to leave this crap up, even if you disagree with it, because otherwise, you end up just like, because the problem is you can get delisted from the algorithm, you can get really pushed down, if you don't leave everything up. So it sucks. Now, so here's the thing. A lot of people are comparing the box office results of The Mandalorian and Grogu to that of Han Solo. Now, The Mandalorian and Grogu opens to 167 million worldwide, 98 million for a 4-day US opening. What does this mean? Now, for comparison, Solo: A Star Wars Story had a $103 million 4-day US opening, but a $153 million worldwide. That means that worldwide Mandalorian and Grogu did better than Solo. Overall, a little higher. However, I think that this is very different. Because The Mandalorian and Grogu is not $300 million for a budget. Han Solo, the movie, had a massive overblown budget, and the level to break even was vastly too high to justify that price tag. You know, they couldn't make the price tag. It did flop. It underperformed at the box office. However, this film is roughly half the cost of Solo. And bizarrely, I think it looks a lot better than Solo did, which is crazy to think. I think the scene. I think there are elements of Mandalorian and Grogu that resemble, in my opinion, the Dark Crystal, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. So it will make more money. Yeah. So, and again, the other thing people are factoring in as well, merchandise sales. I fully believe that the merchandise for this movie will absolutely net its budget 2 and 4 times over easily. There was also a factor with Disney where they have become very savvy with basically paying off the budget of the film before it releases through clever ad sponsorships and ad partnerships. To give you an idea, the Fantastic Four movie made its budget back before the film even came out, essentially, just through ad partnerships outside of the ticket sales. People do not realize that a lot of the ways Disney makes money is not exclusively through ticket sales. That's a big thing.
At the guy 493 super chatted $2. Knicks in the finals. NY about to explode.
Oh God, I was gonna go to the city soon too. That's a shame. It's gonna be impossible to get in and out of the city. Jesus. Now, again, let's talk about the movie itself quality-wise. I think it was decent. It was a good movie, I thought. Was it amazing? No, but it was pretty good. But that's not the story. The story is the historic performance of Obsession. This weekend, while Star Wars did have a low box office relative to previous Star Wars films, but not to its budget, I mean, it's gonna make money. This one, Obsession, did really well because it actually went up week to week in the box office. That does not happen very often. The immensely positive word of mouth for Obsession gave it a higher box office its second week than its first. And that is incredible news, especially considering Obsession cost under $1 million to make. Crazy, right? What does that mean? Well, it means that we have competition here for the best of May. What is the film to watch? Here's the thing I find very funny, though, about that same question. Let's bring this up real quick. Let's look really quickly at the Critical Drinkers channel, right? The Critical Drinker here is, of course, one of those big old channels that loves talking about crap. Obsession came out last week. We have a Megalopolis video, Mandalorian and Grogu, which we'll get to. We'll get to that. Will Smith has a video. The Drinker fixes the Hobbit film. What the? Okay, that might be something worth watching it on its own somewhere else. Casting issues, Mortal Kombat 2. The Odyssey thing I reacted to last week. What's not mentioned is Obsession. Obsession, which is one of the most critically acclaimed films this year so far, is not on the Drinkers main channel.
At It's Your Boy 562 super chatted $12.68. Mando and Grogu are more modern characters, and there hasn't been a Star Wars movie in theaters since 2019, so casual audiences are probably more drawn to it.
Yeah.
Solo came after TLJ and that whole discourse. Two different eras.
Precisely. And again, I cannot stress enough, the budget's a big thing too. Now, so the Critical Drinker has not actually, isn't looking. He's not looking at any of this on his main channel. Now, let's look at his secondary channel. How to write a book. Okay. The Boys, Mandalorian and Grogu, Supergirl, The Boys, Drinker, Rings of Power, Odyssey Backlash, talking about more of this, Drinker, Mortal Kombat, Star Wars Reboot, Disney Retcon. Again, he's not talking about Obsession, which is one of the biggest films of the year. Just him and Mauler just like hanging out. Which is, by the way, can I even point out the fact that I haven't gotten to the Drinker and Mauler's video? The movie they did together? Let me know in chat if you want me to see me review that at some point, because I'm debating it. It looks like it's painful to sit through and kind of boring. So I'm not even sure what I could really milk from it. But the point is that Drinker on none of his channels has talked about Obsession. But every single movie guy around, every major outlet, every major YouTuber who's worth their salt, has acknowledged that Obsession is remarkable for what it accomplishes. Obsession is currently one of the most highly critically acclaimed films of the year. And much like how Drinker did not talk about Sinners, he's not talking about Obsession. Now, why is that? Why is that? Well, unlike Obsession, unlike Sinners, which was, you can make the argument, the reason why I didn't talk about Sinners is more the theory, not really the fact-based argument, that he didn't want to talk about a movie that featured a primarily black cast if it defeated his purpose that you can make a really compelling movie that is about the message that he so obsesses over and also make it a really good movie. Because Sinners is entirely about the social context of it. There are a lot of themes throughout that are very, very well crafted. Dealing with the way that black music is stolen by white culture. You know, that's not subtle. He's not subtle about, Ryan Johnson's not subtle, not Ryan Johnson, dumb. Cred. Ryan Coogler, I'm so sorry, is not subtle about his perspectives on that. And it makes the movie all the greater. There's a great sequence where you see in Sinners the various, it's like music permeates time and space. You got all these musicians from the past, present, and future all in one sequence, and it's absolutely incredible. And it's everything Drinker hates in a movie, yet he knows he can't bash it. Let's take a look. It has a female lead, exactly. Let's take a look at the Nerdrotic, right? Let's look at Nerdrotic here. Did Nerdrotic talk about Obsession? The Boys, Mandalorian and Grogu twice. Oh, I talked about season 3 at like 7 days ago. Obi-Wan Kenobi, again. The Odyssey Backlash, which I responded to already. The end of the Star Hollywood franchise. Marvel, Harry Potter show, Lord of the Rings, Starfleet, The Boys. He's also not talking about Obsession. That's the thing. These folks are so obsessed with their old school franchises, they're not talking on their mainstream perspectives about one of the most amazing financial successes in Hollywood in the last month. And I say despise YouTube thumbnails. I mean, listen, thumbnails are a reality, but his are very, very samey. Super Eye Patch Wolf is one of the greatest cinema villains of the decade, complete with his eye patch. I do agree.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $2.03. They are so triggered by Homelander death.
Right? Okay, yeah. I'm seeing a lot of people say, "Oh, Chloe, I'm seeing you go. The franchise is dead, awful, yeah, woke." Yet they all go only see franchise pictures. I agree, but they don't watch anything outside of that. Hokum came out this year. The Backrooms is coming out. Everyone in my chat's talking with The Sheep Detective, which I've not seen yet, but here's great. Animal Farm also came out, but that's pain, and who wants to talk about that one? Actually, I talked about Animal Farm more than they did. So there you go. I criticized it more than they did. Yeah. I went the comic, he actually goes up more pathetically. Yeah, no, Wave's right. Homelander's death in the comic is worse. I don't like the Boys comic. I think it's very overrated. But like on Twitter, I logged on and I actually compared Homelander's death to Light Yagami's death in the manga for Death Note. They're very similar. Where they're these all-powerful people who lose their powers at the very end. At
Mustafa_Ahmed super chatted $2. Does Drinker ever talk about something he likes?
He does. On occasion he does, but it's usually the problem with when he likes something is that he usually does it through the veil of praising it by slapping something else. So, for example, he liked Mortal Kombat apparently. I mean, okay, that's fair. He says Tomb Raider's better than you remember. He's saying that Michael Jackson was a good film. He likes. Okay, you know, I'll give him this also. Unforgiven is the greatest Western ever made. In my opinion, I agree with Drinker on that one. Hurt to say, but yeah, Unforgiven is a masterpiece. I don't think there's a I think the only arguable contender would be something like Once Upon a Time in the West or The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Like one of those like Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. That's the only competition. Aside from Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. And Eastwood's, I think, in at least, you know, he's in Good, Bad, the Ugly. I forget if he's in Once Upon a Time in the West. It's been ages since I've seen it. But, yeah, no. But great movies. Great movies. That being said, though, the best Leone film is Once Upon a Time in America. That movie is actually a hard movie to sit through, but it's brilliant. But yeah, Unforgiven being the best Western of all time. That's a kind of a boring take. Not bad take. It's a good take, but it's like an ice cold take. Like, yeah, okay, it's one of the best for a reason. Now, if you said The Quick and the Dead's the best Western of all time, now we're cooking with gas. That's a fun hot take. I saw some love for Tombstone and The Searchers in chat. Yeah, those are great too. But if you told me your favorite Western was The Quick and the Dead, we're going to have a fun time. It's going to be a fun discussion. Quick and the Dead's great. But, like, it's stupid, but it's great. It's like Sam Raimi circa Xena. You know, it's that Xena era of Sam Raimi where it's like he just finished doing was it Army of Darkness? He was still going in some loopy territory, but he got some really good movies coming out too. Yeah, watch Unforgiven. Watch Unforgiven. Unforgiven's great. I think Unforgiven is a great example of the story of the reformed villain, right? Because Clint Eastwood's character, he's a cold-blooded assassin who is trying to not be a cold-blooded assassin, but you can tell he has to put work in. It's what's the line from Skyrim? What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? That's what this movie is. He's overcoming his evil nature through great effort. I think it's amazing. Old Man Logan is heavily inspired by Unforgiven, as is the film Logan. Yeah, agreed. Nope might be your favorite movie of all time. I do love Nope. Nope is up there. It's a hell of a thing, killing a man, taking away all he's got and taking away all he's got and everything he's ever gonna. It's all so depressing. No Country for Old Men. Yeah, No Country for Old Men counts as a Western. That's also up there. That's also excellent too. I love No Country for Old Men. Very different though.
At Eustace Giwo super chatted $5. Drinker and company can't discuss Obession because its success doesn't align with their message.
This is true. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about a couple things in Obsession that may come across as a spoiler for a few minutes. So, let me put up something here that indicates a spoiler. 1 second. Okay, so this is your spoiler warning. I'm gonna be very obnoxious with this one. Oh no, I'm gonna be so obnoxious. I'm so sorry in advance. Okay, here we go. Here's your spoiler warning. Go away. Sorry, I had to. I'm so sorry. Okay. So. Obsession. Who here... Okay, so when I watched that one, the scene in the freaking bedroom, right? Where he wakes up in the middle of the night, and she's in the freaking corner of the room, just watching him sleep. That is one of the scariest freaking scenes in a recent horror film, purely because you know she's there, and she just emerges and shuffle walks around. It's so weird. But I do think it was very funny in the theater. I thought it was funny. I'm not sure if everyone laughed. There was some scenes in Obsession that I guess was supposed to be scary that I thought were really deeply, darkly funny, which I guess reflects Kerry Barker's kind of perspective as a comedian on top of everything else. The scene where she makes him eat his own cat by cutting the dead cat up into a sandwich. And he's like, they're all like, wow, that meat smells funny. Like, oh yeah, I can't imagine why that might be.
At NanXRunner7252 super chatted $10. Best Western is Leone's, for a few dollars more. The final showdown between Indio, the Colonel, and Manco is probably the best standoff in cinematic history.
That is great. I do agree. That is a masterpiece of standoffs. Yeah, no, because the whole movie with Obsession is, you have to understand, the concept of Obsession is the main character, Bear, he gets a one-wish willow, which is a magical item that when you break it, allows you to ask for one wish, and you only get one wish. And his wish is that, he wishes this girl, Nikki, loved him more than anything else in the world. But essentially what happens is Nikki doesn't change her perspective on Bear. An entity inhabits her body and puppets the body, so she is superficially loving him, but that love is deeply superficial and almost like an AI bot, it feels like. It almost feels a little bit like an AI bot, how it talks. It doesn't really ever fully naturally interact like it should. And it's very clear that Bear, rather than try to break the wish or take accountability for his actions, dodges accountability and wants to have his cake and eat it. Like, he's not upset that the wish worked. He's upset it isn't working the way he wanted it to. And basically Nikki is put through perpetual hell essentially. You know, she's kind of forced to watch the world pass around her while something else pilots her body. And the situation that she is left in at the end of the film is like people have considered the implications of what follows that last scene, and they're not good. They're very bad. Like, Nikki's fucked. No matter what happens, her life is screwed over on so many levels. But it's so dark. It's kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of great. I think the movie was fantastic.
At Cartoon49 super chatted $2. Plans on playing new 007 game and who should in new clapperboard?
Okay, so I do want to play the new 007 game. Who do I think should play James Bond? I have no idea. I think they should go young. I think a young talent, like someone in like late 20s, early 30s, should play James Bond for a long period of time.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $2. Most tense scene is two people talking in a car winking face.
I don't know if that was the most tense. I'll be honest with you. Okay. This might be the most screwed up thing I say so far. I thought it was kind of funny. Like, the whole time. Like, me and my spouse sitting there going like, the moment he gets in that car with her, we're like, she is dead. We're just like, she's going to get killed in any second now.
Super chatted $5. In her short review, YouTuber Ms. Mayhem said that Sheep Detectives is like Babe meets Knives Out. Which makes me want to see it now.
That is the greatest endorsement for a film ever. I love that. But anyway, when Nikki does kill her, it's like she takes a brick and just slams her head against the brick over and over and over again. And it's one of those things where, like, at first it's shocking. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm looking at this. You get stunned. The breath is knocked out of you. But then it keeps going. And she keeps ramming the head against the brick. And I'm like, okay, I think she's dead. Okay, it's done. You can stop now. It just keeps going. And apparently, they wanted to include more, make that longer. But apparently it was NC-17 and they had to cut it down. But it's like, you watch that going like, okay, she's good. She's done. You're done. You did the job. You're good. Okay, you can stop now. That's enough slices. Oh, man. I think it was a good movie. I think it was really good. Darkly funny, but really good. Oops, all brick. Yeah. Oh, no, the train spotting scene with the baby. That is one of the most frightening scenes in the movie I've seen. That's deeply disturbing.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $2. I was John Bernthal. No, wait. Wait. Yeah, exactly. It's like the moment he gets in that car, you know that's what's happening. It's such a great freaking scene. No, the friend did nothing wrong. She's just hell, both friends did nothing wrong. They're both fine. Okay, so that's all well and good. And while we have the spoiler screen up, let's talk a little bit about the Mandalorian and Grogu real fast too. Because there's not much to talk about in terms of spoilers, because I think the film's very, very predictable. I do think it's very funny how much Sigourney Weaver was marketed in the film and how little she's actually in the film. Like, Martin Scorsese was in the film more than Sigourney Weaver. I cannot. Is God Is. I've not seen Is God Is yet, but I've heard it's really something. Boosters, yeah, I love Boosters. I have to see that still. That looks good too. But the Mandalorian and Grogu, is a good episode of the TV show. That's what it is. It's a good episode of the TV show. I had a good time with it. I can see, I compare it a lot to. Oh yeah, here you go. At the Waverunner super chatted $2. The Martin Scorsese of Shark Tale fame.
It is the Martin Scorsese of Shark Tale fame.
At underscore
wow.
Java underscore 698 super chatted $5. The brick scene is a callback to Barker's other movie Milk and Cereal, where a brick was also a weapon.
Oh, that was the Milk and Cereal reference? Okay, I had seen Milk and Cereal a while back, and I'd forgotten that detail. That was really scary, Milk and Cereal. Deeply disturbing. I like that a lot.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $5. To borrow from Krim, Best SW has a group of friends we follow. OT has that, PT was sterile, and TFA sidelining and separating Poe from Finn and Rey Skull and Crossbones, D Street.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The best Star Wars films are about a group of friends. That's why the Clone Wars cartoon is so much better than the Clone Wars movie, I think.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $5. That being said, Din Djarin and Grogu's chemistry is really close. Characters and relationships you care about go a long way. By the way, should Grogu talk?
Okay, I agree with you on that one entirely. I think it's incredible, the chemistry there. I think personally the way that dynamic works is so good. I think it's one of my favorite relationships in Star Wars, the Mandalorian and Grogu. It has like a real lone wolf and cub kind of vibe, which I think is incredible. Jeremy Allen White in this film. Okay, so for a character as badass as Rada the Hutt, which I never thought I'd say, he is so bored in this movie. It's like he came in not giving a fuck and just like somehow made it work. I love that. He is so disinterested in every line he gives. I kind of admire it. It has like a real Keanu Reeves in Dracula vibe to it, where I'm like, oh, none of this should work, yet I'm enjoying every second of this. Like, it really is. It does feel like he was in a booth, recorded his lines, forgot he was in the movie, and was like, and he just kind of left. I feel like he didn't give a shit, and I love that about it. And much like Rada the Hutt, he's just like, I'm here now. I kind of love that. Yeah, no. Or Han Solo in the sequel trilogy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always love when an actor clearly doesn't give a crap and like is just there for the ride, but like still brings in a pretty entertaining performance all the same. Yeah, no. Rada the Hutt's jacked. So I watched this with a few friends, and a few of them are like Star Wars like hardcore guys who watch this channel, by the way. So if you're watching this, cool. But and they were talking about how, like, oh, the Hutts were a warrior race at one point, but then they just kind of became crime lords instead. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Also, the guy in the swamp was the coolest guy. Just like a swamp gator guy. Love that guy. He was the best. Has one scene in the movie, really, but, like, he's one of the best characters. I also know that apparently they took elements from Guillermo del Toro's unmade Hutt movie into this one, which I think is kind of cool. Now, that being said, yeah. But do I wish it was more climactic? Yeah, I do. I think the thing is unfortunately, I think Jessie Gender put it really well, and I really agree with her in this one, where they basically said that it's the X-Files movie of Star Wars, where it's like basically a big budget episode of the show, but it doesn't do anything climactic, but it is a fun standalone adventure. I think it's a good piece of media to get people back on board with Star Wars. It's a good entry point Star Wars film in the best possible way. Because unfortunately, Star Wars has been off track for a while. Get them back on board. Get them back on board. That's what I think you gotta do. And the internet is not as... I'm surprised I haven't seen more thirst traps for Rada the Hutt, given it's the internet. So, I digress. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about The Mandalorian and Grogu as the critical drinker has seen it. Let's take a look. Let's see if he mentions Obsession at all and its success this month. And give it time.
At the guy 493 super chatted $2. Rata is on my lists for hear me outs.
There you go. Yeah, Wave, you should the next time you do a Star Wars video for Yes, Rada was the baby from the Clone Wars movie. Yeah, that's the same character. Dave Filoni really brought that character back to give him like a redemption arc, essentially. Next time you do a video with uh with Kinky Mation for friggin' Star Wars like Glupshitos, you should absolutely include Rod of the Hutt, like in his jacked form and his baby form. See how she reacts, because I feel like she'd get a kick out of that. Freaking love that. Anyway, well.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $5. I mean, Rada the Hutt is jacked like you said, he knows how to hold himself in a fight, and he's great with kids. He's the perfect man if you ask me.
I hear you there. I gotta take a look at the thing. Star Wars. Okay, this might be a dangerous question to ask. This might be dangerous. Okay. This might be dangerous to ask. No. Okay. No, I'm not going to ask that question. I was not on stream because I feel like I'd find something that's me like demonetized in seconds. But I was going to ask the internet the dangerous question: which character has the most Rule 34 made about them from Star Wars? I'm afraid of the answer, and I don't know if I want to look it up. I'm almost scared. Chat, who do you think has the most Rule 34 art made about them from Star Wars? I'm curious. Who do you think? I'm thinking Princess Leia, personally. I feel like that's the most logical choice. But a part of me's scared that it's going to be something like, I don't know, the Sarlacc pit. And I feel like I can't process that information. Or Ahsoka. Ahsoka can make sense too, I guess. I'm seeing Jar Jar on here, and I feel like Jar Jar hate makes it difficult.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Obi-Wan. Use the safe search, Ant.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think Leia and Ahsoka are like the key components, yeah.
At Olivia _Williams _purple fairy super chatted $2.03. Lee and Ashoka.
Yeah, right. Reddit loved Obi-Wan. Why did Reddit love Obi-Wan in the show? I thought it was okay. I didn't love the Obi-Wan show all that much. I thought it was very fine, like mediocre. Leia Sakura, that could work. General Grievous. Yes. Darth Maul. Yeah, Darth Maul is the Arrow champion there. Padme, I think, has no chance, I think. Honestly.
At Maryland 614 super chatted $5.10. Hey Anthony, off topic, but since we're talking about May releases, did you catch Gundam Hathaway, Sorcery of Circe? Lady
Sadly
Emily
not.
Apparently liked it.
Lady Emily is going through her Gundam phase, and I love this. I love like poking her every so often, going, "Hey, so what Gundam thing you watching now?" and just getting like like an info dump on it. It's so much fun. Yeah, she's cool. I like Lady Emily. She's a cool person. And her perspective on Gundam is so entertaining. She's been working on something for Gundam for like a year now, and I'm like, come on, make it, put it out, please. I need to see it. Okay. We're going to start right now by looking at the Mandalorian and Grogu video done by The Drinker. It is 6 minutes long, and it's probably going to be exactly what you expect. But let's find out anyway. Oh, 1 second.
Would be if apathy were a movie, then that movie would be Mango and Grok. Sorry, The Mandalorian and Grogu. 2 hours and 12 minutes of pure distilled nothingness. Honestly, it's almost impressive how intellectually, emotionally, and creatively inert this film manages to be.
Creatively, I'm not so sure. Definitely emotionally, it's a very light film. It's just it's an episode of the show. It's a hangout with like a father and son. There are a couple scenes I say are pretty decently emotional, but like nothing heavy duty. it really is light. It's light entertainment in the best way possible. You know what I think I'll compare it to? It's a D&D campaign. It really does feel like a D&D campaign the whole way through, which is fine. Nothing heavy, but it is definitely not boring. I would also say this, creatively, I wouldn't say it's bad. Mainly because of the Hut Planet. I think that area specifically is very imaginative. Wow, thank you for the gift membership there, Mustafa. Thank you so much. Oh, and we got a super chat coming in as well.
At _Java _698 super chatted $5. Me and my friend were dying laughing talking about Babu Frick and his buddies. Cannot get over how they just killed a rat for no reason.
Yeah, no, it just happened.
Hilarious.
It's just like all of it's like Babu Frick is like the MVP of Star Wars at this point. Especially he was the MVP of Rise of Skywalker, which is great. When I was showing the sequel trilogy to my parents are not sci-fi fans. They don't really like Star Wars all that much. But my father got a kick out of Babu Frick, so he actually liked Rise of Skywalker the most out of the sequel trilogy, just because his baseline amusement was like, this all sucks, I don't like it. That little puppet's funny. I'm like, yeah, he is.
At the Wave Runner super chatted $2. I had no interest until I learned about Buff Rada.
Yeah, having a buff like Hut that definitely helps. Badass Hut, I'm down for that. I like Rada as a character. He started off as one of the most detestable characters in the Clone Wars, but in this he's really good. I like him a lot. It's a good character. And his arc's pretty fun too.
Does nothing, tries nothing, and accomplishes absolutely nothing. I've had more engaging interactions with accounting spreadsheets than I had with Mongo and Gary here. It's a movie that has no good reason for even being a movie. A story that's nothing more than an episode of the TV show stretched out into a feature film, padded out with shameless filler, montages that go on forever, pointless conversations, and sterile chase sequences.
Okay, now here's what I have to question. I don't think there's any filler in the movie. There's action scenes, but it's definitely not filler. I think it's pretty tightly written. Every scene has a purpose, and it goes from scene to scene with really breathless intensity. Is it necessarily the most engaging thing in the world? No, I like it. It's a film that does exactly what it's meant to do, which is fine. But I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily soulless. Because again, there is the puppetry angle. It has that kind of Dark Crystal-esque element to it where it's like, at least it's a good set piece for the visuals. But it does feel a little performative to really rag on this movie because there's so little to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, it is a by-the-numbers story. You kind of know where it's going to go from start to finish. There are certain elements to happen out of the sequence you expect them to happen in. But it's fine. Oh, he did. Oh, fantastic.
At the guy 493 super chatted $2. Fun fact. Phil Tippett did those droid puppets.
In this movie? Yeah, that's impressive if that's the case. I love Phil Tippett's work. His work's incredible. The more I've gotten into animation history, the more I
At
love
Any
this guy's
Prophet
work.
super chatted $2. Leia, 4.2k.
Eh.
Ahsoka, 14.4k. Approximate. Sorry.
All right, guys. Ahsoka really wins Rule 34.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Baby Jabba old business. Baby Yoda new hotness.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, back to this.
Performances that contain all the passion and energy of a fucking quartering video, and apathetic direction that could have been done by AI for all I know. Anyway, I'm putting off talking about the plot.
Okay, buddy, you know just well as I do that AI can't do motion. AI. So, did you guys watch the new Billiam video? We talked about the new Monster Quest. Was it Monster Quest? The History Channel's monster documentary show. They used AI in that, and you can tell because all the monsters are stiff, staggered, and don't look any different. If Critical Drinker thinks an AI directed this film, he's out of his mind. Also, again, they have a lot of puppetry here that's really, really impressive. And again, Guillermo del Toro's designs. Del Toro's designs use landscape as an extension of the internalization of characters. And Del Toro's work did influence the Hutt planet in the film.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Think of how jacked Grogu will be when older.
Exactly.
Rolling on the floor, laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing.
Yeah, and people in chat are pointing out AI can do motion, but very limited. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, this whole movie is motion. The action sequences are entirely in flux and has a real consistent sense of like spatial awareness with the characters, which works. Yes, so Del Toro was involved in this film to an extent. So what happened was Del Toro began work on a Hutt film. And elements of that work was incorporated into the set design and designing, really, of the Hutt world in this film. He was not directly part of the crew, but his work was repurposed. And they give him a shout out in the credits if you watch the film at the very end. He's like a special thanks to in the credits, and that's why. Because the work he did help inform what ended up being used on the film for the Hutt planet. And that's also why the Hutt section is so much more creatively designed than the first half of the film. So the film is divided really into two halves. There's the rescue, there's like basically two rescue arcs, basically. And both of them are set in different locations. One in a city, one the Hutt planet. And the Hutt planet stuff is very much inspired by Del Toro's work. It's pretty cool stuff, I think. I do not believe that Drinker will mention it, so let's find out.
Well, because really, there's not a whole lot to say. The movie opens with Mundungus and Gravy hunting down former Imperial commanders for the New Republic when Sigourney Weaver shows up to collect her paycheck. Give them a new mission to locate a mysterious warlord named Janu Coin. The only people who seem to know where to find him are the Hutt twins, and they'll only give that information up if Mando can recover their relative Rota, who's been kidnapped by a rival crime lord and forced to fight in his gladiator pits. Like, why not just torture the information out of them, or hand them over to the New Republic for interrogation, or threaten to seize all of their assets, or carpet bomb their palace into dust?
That's a stupid question. The reason why is pretty obvious. In the film, they say they want to build like an intelligence system with them to use the Hutts to get information on the enemy. The Hutts are backstabbing them because they're Hutts, but like they basically tell you in the first scene they took a lot of time to use them as an information means, as informants basically. But the Hutts are playing both sides of the coin. That's what Hutts do. So, like, that's why. Like, why would you torture potential informants? And you believe that these guys may have a way to keep some control over certain areas of the galaxy outside of your control. Don't forget, the Hutts exist outside New Republic territory. The New Republic is not all-powerful yet. So, they have, like, a very loose conglomerate of different planets. Hutts control their side. That's why.
Don't know. Anyway, it's your basic Mandalorian fetch quest. Rescue Rota and give him back to the Hutts so that you can find Coin and arrest him. But then, wouldn't you know it, it turns out Rota doesn't even want to be rescued because he likes fighting in the pits. He doesn't want to follow in his father's footsteps, and he plans to make a new life for himself when he's completed his last fight and earned his freedom. Wait, what? Since when do kidnappings operate on a contract basis? Ah, fuck it, man. What?
What? Wait, what? What? No, hang on. No. Rudda is in debt, and he's paying off his debt by fighting in the ring. That's the thing. So Rudda is in debt to this guy and pays off his debt by fighting in the ring. He's paying off his debt. What are you talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's having a good time. He's having fun. Jesus Christ. And part of the thing is he mentions how, like, when he first got in there, they all jeered him, they couldn't stand him, but over time he won their respect through combat. In theory. The audiences are fickle.
Whatever. So Mufasa and George go to Rota's kidnapper and offer to buy him back, but he's like, nah, it'll be fine, because he's planning to have Rota killed in his final fight anyway.
That doesn't make sense.
Wait, what the fuck? Why in the name of Carl Urban's beard would you tell this guy, who clearly has a vested interest in breaking Rota out, that you're planning to kill him? You know he's just gonna go straight to Rota and tell him all this shit, right? But because Rota is completely and utterly retarded, he decides to just go through with the fight anyway, which leaves Mingo with no choice but to fight alongside him to break him out. Oh yeah.
No, that's not what happens, Drinker. You're making a bit of a mistake there. When Mando goes back, when Din Djarin goes back to break Rudda out, they gas him, and they wake up and they drop him in that final fight because, as the guy says multiple times, that's going to be a key appeal, having a Mandalorian in the pits.
At Eustace Giwo super chatted $5. Right. Start a war with a galaxy-spanning crime syndicate so powerful the Empire didn't mess with because of the complications.
Exactly. And then, of course, you find out much later that the crime lord's in on the Hutts. He's in with all them, and they want to kill Rudda, and so it's all part of a plan to get rid of him no matter what, and to use the Mandalorian to kill Rudda. It's all very spelled out for you. But if the Mandalorian wins, they hand him off to the Hutts, and then they kill him anyway. So it's one of those things where it's like, the way it's designed to always perpetually help the Hutts. The reason why the Hutts get pissed off in the second half of the film is because, like, the Mandalorian backstabs them. Like, he doesn't play by the rules. So it's like, guys, come on, really?
Yeah, and it turns out that the crime lord who kidnapped him in the first place is the same fucking guy that Mando's been sent here to find.
Are you serious?
Wow, that's convenient, isn't it? Anyway, with Rota free to go and Coin in custody, the movie ends around the 60-minute mark. That was quick. But wait! There's more! So Muffler and Grog are chilling out back at their base when another bounty hunter shows up and kidnaps him, taking him back to the Hutt Twins to be executed for reneging on their deal, leaving the little green guy with no choice but to recruit Babu Frick and stage a rescue mission. I'm not kidding, man, he even has a gearing up sequence with little plastic retarded hands. So
how can you not love that bit? It's so cheesy. It's like they all have their Rambo montage of arming up with like little toys. Again, a lot of this movie is very much, in the second half especially, Dark Crystal inspired. I personally like the second half of the film more than the first half because it goes full creature feature, Dark Crystal madness, and I kind of dig that. Like, it's all fun little stuff. This feels so forced. And the fact that he's making so many basic plot errors about describing it. Like, here's the thing. Errors happen. People make mistakes. No one's perfect. That's fine. At the end of the day, as long as the intentionality is there, I'm kind of willing to overlook minor plot issues when you miscommunicate, what have you. But this is, like, really weird because it's not a good discussion about the film. Yeah, cheesy and fun are a dirty four-letter word, exactly. But like, if you're not getting any plot points correct, then like, what's even the point of listening to you talk about it? Like, you're not even remotely correct. Is anyone looking forward to Spider Noir? I'm looking forward to Spider Noir. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to watch it. Let me back to this.
Gruyere busts Mephisto out, but he gets hurt along the way, so the Green Goblin has to nurse him back to health. Then they both stage an attack on the palace by literally crashing their ship right into it, which somehow doesn't kill them both instantly. Then there's...
No, you can survive. It's made of, like, mold. They can break through it. It's a vegetable, basically. The layers are like moldy vegetables. They can make it through. And it's a very densely packed ship, so it's not that illogical.
a fight sequence and they all leap to safety just as Sigourney Weaver shows up with some X-Wings to blow the place to smithereens. And that's it, that's the plot for Mayonnaise and Gammon. Jesus H. Christ, 7 years it's been since the last Star Wars movie hit theaters, and this shit is what you decide to roll out with? A completely dull, predictable, unimaginative, by-the-numbers episode of a TV show that people stopped caring about years ago, stretched out into a 2-hour movie where the world and characters don't advance in any way and nothing of any consequence happens? This is a film that feels terrified of the franchise it's part of, a project that lacks any kind of scope, scale, or ambition. There's no attempt to tie this thing into wider events, set up any kind of overarching story or conflict, build up the world, or even hint at what might be going on in the rest of the galaxy. It's just baffling. It's like this movie exists in its own little bubble, completely removed from the rest of the Star Wars universe.
But here's the thing, though, it kind of annoys me. If your core argument is that the film doesn't set up more movies, is that a good criticism? Like, that's the thing. This movie doesn't really do anything to further the world of Star Wars. Yeah, unless you think that the Hutts and that fate is important, which it is, to some extent. But, like, so what? You know, like, what about the film on its own, right? Like, if the crux of your argument is the film doesn't pay off plot points that haven't happened yet and doesn't push things further, then, like, is that really the biggest critique you want to make? Like, does that matter? Does that matter? Well, I don't know. Does it matter? I don't think it does. You know, like, not everything has to be this continuity pushing thing. It doesn't have to be the biggest event film around. It could just be a simple little film, a simple little chapter in a narrative. So I don't understand exactly why this matters all that much. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't think it matters. I think he's harping on this as though it really is important, but it's ultimately not. Like, if the film is good enough and has some fun sequences, is that a bad thing? There's nothing in this film that's offensive or terrible or awful. It's just an entry in a story that already is playing out. I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous how he's acting as though this really matters all that much in the scheme of things.
I mean, I guess I'll give it the tiniest bit of credit. It doesn't rely on key jangling or member berries, at least. There's no CGI Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia, no Millennium Falcon or random visits to Tatooine. Shit, man, even Ahsoka, Boba Fett and Bo-Katan don't even show up. And normally I'd praise a movie for having the balls to leave behind the nostalgia and stand on its own merits. The problem is, Mega Man and Galactus doesn't have any. It's so terrified of doing anything controversial that it does nothing at all. It's the very definition of safe, corporatized slop content. The kind of thing you might have playing in the
Super chat?
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $5. I'd argue the film being so standalone is a good thing.
I agree.
Takes things back to season 1, before they felt the need to connect to the expanded universe.
I'm with you on that one. I think it's refreshing to have something that doesn't set up everything immediately. You know, like, ultimately speaking, there's a lot of movies out there that just, like, it's all set up for the next film. It's all build up for what comes next. Sometimes you just need a film that just tells a story on its own and then ends. And then that's it, and no one cares. That's the end of the story. And that's fine. You know, it's totally fine to just have an entry of a film that doesn't set up anything else. You know, back in the day, we used to have films like that all the time. The Indiana Jones films, for example, the original 3, all of them are standalone. There is no filler because it all just works in its own narrative. It starts and it ends, and that's it. That's all it is. It starts on a story, it ends on that story, and it is only that story. The word slop is so overused, especially when you consider what the Critical Drinker's books are like. Like, here's the thing I find so hypocritical about all this. Like, if you read the Critical Drinker's books, they're all spy slop, basically, by his definition of the word. Yeah, no, I think Star Wars needs a horror film. I still argue that. Yeah, he has books, plural. That's what his movie's based on. His books. Like, the problem is that he is so afraid of admitting the film is just a standalone piece. And the problem is, it is everything he's been asking for. It's everything he's been asking for. He doesn't want all these continuity references or the message, quote unquote, that he wants. This doesn't have that. It is very, very, very basic. Hell, there's barely any women in the movie because the only female lead is Sigourney Weaver, and she's barely there. Again, Martin Scorsese has a larger role in this film than Sigourney.
At Tiranapus and Friends 6254 super chatted $1.44. TCD mad that this is safe when that's what he wants.
Exactly. And I should do a review on this book. So the problem is the books are boring. Like, Shad's book is interesting bad. This is boring. I might actually, you know what? I might do a book review on it at some point. I was thinking about doing it on Left Behind. Left Behind, you ever read Left Behind? Those books are crazy. Like, those books are madness. Like, the Left Behind series is actually insane. Christian propaganda in the most insane way. That might be fun to do a book review on, I think. Because it's got to be a good book. "4chan." Oh, it's a 4chan term. Yeah, exactly. To an extent.
Background while you doom.
Nope, you go.
At Thinavo3893 super chatted $5. I heavily dislike Critical Drinker, but I think there is legitimate argument on how the new Star Wars feels safe and don't take a lot of risk.
Well, yeah, I talked about that in my Last Jedi video. The last Star Wars, ever since The Last Jedi came out, Star Wars has been increasingly safe and predictable. I think The Mandalorian, while a lot of fun, is a very safe bet. It doesn't really challenge the audience in ways that Andor does, for example. The Acolyte is a risk, but that didn't
At
pay off
Lupin the
for Disney.
Maelstrom super chatted $5. Other notes. 1. Steve
Yes.
Bloom's name in op credits was peak.
That was peak,
2.
agreed.
Why did Grogu have to go on medicine quest? He can _force heal _. 3. Should Grogu talk?
The medicine quest is interesting because I think it implies that poison they can't heal. They can fix like injuries, but I think by limiting the force healing, it does prevent it from being like broken. So it can heal certain injuries like the superficial bite marks, but it can't fix like massive amounts of poison, I guess. That's what I thought. Should Grogu talk? No, not for a while. Not until like his last appearance, I think, in the Mandalorian.
At Olivia Williams _purple _fairy super chatted $5.10. Fun fact: the Rapture theology those book are based on come from a 19th century guy who hit his head falling off his horse just before.
Yep. Oh, 100%. So Rapture philosophy is not in the Bible, though they try to interpret it as being part of the Bible. It is a very recent American invention, which is wild to say, I think.
Scroll on your phone. If it was a meal, it would be a bowl of lukewarm tap water. Even the acting and direction is flatter than Daisy Ridley's chest. Pedro Pascal sounds completely bored and checked out. He's only on screen for a couple of minutes and he puts in zero fucking effort when he is. Sigourney Weaver clearly does not give a fuck about any of this nonsense and phones in the same performance she's given in basically everything else she's done for the past 10 years. It all adds up to a movie made out of obligation rather than desire. A film that nobody really wanted to make, telling a story nobody was interested in, put out by a studio that's completely lost faith in itself and run out of creative ideas. If this was supposed to be Star Wars' triumphant return to the big screen, it is nothing but a damp squib that'll be forgotten in a matter of weeks. And if this is what Star Wars is going to look like under Dave Filoni, well, I would not expect great things in the future.
Why would you say it's under Dave Filoni when it was made before Dave Filoni took over Disney? Like, this is still a Kathleen Kennedy production. Dave Filoni was not the show. He was in charge of writing it, but like it's not produced by Dave Filoni in terms of him being the head of Lucasfilm yet. It still has Kathleen Kennedy's name on it. So I'm a little confused why. I mean, Dave Filoni always kind of makes stuff like this. I don't think Dave Filoni is the most talented writer, but we all know what Dave Filoni's work is going to be like. I just want to make sure he gives his writers who work under him and his directors who work under him the creative room to do what they need to do. You know? I think they need to, anyway.
Anyway, That's all I've got for today.
Okay, yeah, so that was useless.
Go.
Yeah, that's kind of useless.
At Lupin the Maelstrom super chatted $5. Only bring it up because Carl Weathers got lethally poisoned near the end of season 1.
That's right, he did.
And Grogu
Forgot about
healed
that
him.
detail.
They released the EP early because TROS.
That's right. I forgot about that detail. Yeah. So he was poisoned. I forgot about that part. Yeah. No, thanks for that. That makes sense. Yes, that is a bit of a plot hole, I guess. Huh.
At Mustafa_Ahmed super chatted $5. Semi-serious vid idea. Is Drinker a better writer than Shad?
That's a tough one. He is more competent than Shad, but also less creative. So that is to say, he is more talented as a writer, but takes fewer risks, which I think, listen, for all of Shad's faults, he is not boring. Like Shadiversity's writing is very, very distinct in how unhinged it is. That makes it interesting. The problem is talent is not always whether or not you are technically good at something. The Drinker is a technically better writer than Shad, but he's also less interesting. His works are boring. If I did a review in the same style I did with my Shadiversity book for the Critical Drinkers books, it would be very dull because his book is very dull. They're just not as interesting. But much shorter review, I think. Maybe I'll just do a shorter video on it then. If you review the Left Behind books, we also discuss the terrible film adaptations starring Kirk Cameron and Nick Cage. Yes, I would have to. I would have to. I do think the Nick Cage one is worse because I feel like they take away the unhinged bullshit. You need the crazy shit in your Left Behind film. It's just, you need it there. I'm going to be right back. I got to grab a couple things real quick, grab a little more fluids, but I'll be right back afterwards. So stick tuned, everyone, for a few minutes. Let me just put on some chill jazz for you. And I'll be right back. 1 sec. Oh, no, not right there. There we go. Right back, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm back. 1 sec. Whoop, come on, chair. Get back here. That's what I need. Okay. Okay. We're back. Cool. Excellent. Chair's back. Okay, that was harder than expected. Not sure why my chair was giving me so much difficulty, but it was.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. React to Movie Bob's review, see if he's too happy, lol.
You know what? Yeah, let's do that. That's more interesting. Because we know what Nudrog's going to say. Let's look at Movie Bob. Now, Movie Bob is a character. He is a character. I know Movie Bob likes my channel, so I don't want to be, so it's going to be very interesting to see what he thinks about this. Gore books. Yeah, I want to review the Gore books. I would do that on the channel. That's an interesting fantasy book series to look at. I don't know if it gets many clicks as like say like the Drinkers books will, but Gore is unhinged. So Movie Bob is the opposite end of the spectrum as Critical Drinker. Very different perspective. I do not always agree with Movie Bob on a lot of his reviews, but I think it's always interesting to hear what he has to say. Because I think he has a very different perspective, and I think it's a very different point of view that's interesting. Do I watch Stargate? I have seen Stargate. Stargate's good. I like Stargate a lot. But I know Movie Bob likes my stuff, so if you're watching, Bob, listen, I'm gonna respond to your review. You know, if I agree, I agree. If I don't, I don't. But let's go into it. You know how it is. Yeah, I don't get the obsession with Movie Bob. I think like people get really hung up on like all of that. Like, has he done some cringe stuff in the past? Sure. Have we all? Of course. But like they zeroed in on him for whatever reason. Oh yeah, Bob's mellowed out a lot. Exactly.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Bob's mellowed out a lot, except on Sonic.
Who's Eric Weber? I don't know who Eric Weber is. I'm sorry. Who's Eric Weber? Let me look this up. Also, Vanilla Coco Show, please don't spam. I'm gonna look up who Eric Weber is because you're asking, but I have no idea who Eric Weber is. From Law and Order? Midnight Movie Talk. The director, Eric Weber? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who Eric Weber is, so I can't tell you. I'm sorry. I'm very confused by that. I'm not sure who it is. I think they wanted me to talk about Eric Weber. Yeah, I don't know who Eric Weber is. I'm sorry. I don't know who he is. Sorry. Oh, is he a Twitter guy? Midnight Movie Talk. I'm just seeing like photos of him like with big jacked men. I don't know what this is about. Oh, it's talking about box office stuff. Weber thinks that the new Star Wars flick is arriving with very little fanfare. There's zero buzz for a film, and Disney knows it. They missed the release date by at least 2 years. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know why I should listen to him particularly. He just seems like a guy online. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Run of the Hut, exactly. Like, I don't know. This guy looks like he's whatever. I don't know anything about Eric Weber. It's not even enough to really like hone in on. So I'm sorry. I have no thoughts on him. I'm sorry. Movie Bob, I have more thoughts on.
At Nobody of Want super chatted $2. Ant, you think Bear was the Vil or Vic Emo he a Vil?
We talked about this before. Bear is a monster. Bear is a jackass. He is the worst kind of spineless little guy you can ever imagine. He's the kind of person who his selfishness is what drives the narrative, and it's destructive. You know, it is a deep selfishness, the kind I find deeply contemptible in real people. I think there are points where you can see he could have been a good guy, but like you realize it's all skin deep. He's just a jackass. Can't stand him.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. NGLI want Filoni to be the new Stan Lee cameo.
That'd be fun. Just him showing up with his hat, just popping up in places. Would The Acolyte have been better if Dave Filoni showed up in a hat in every episode, just in the background? The big fight scene in episode 5, like he shows up, like, oh, what's going on? Gets stabbed. And that's the end of his cameos. They keep coming back to him, like just fermenting in the woods. like like in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the guy gets like the narrator gets killed, and they just keep cutting back to the body in the police investigation, like that. We could have gotten more George Lucas cameos. I agree. It would have been fun. Hell, get George Lucas now. It'd be fun. Anyway, back to this.
I liked it. What? It's Star Wars. It's got puppets. It's got spaceships. It's got lasers.
Yeah, I agree with him so far. That's about my take too.
The fuck do you people want?
Basically.
Hey, look, guys, we've been over this. Star Wars was an experimental, auteur-driven, game-changing, unique space movie that accidentally became a big deal one time for one movie. After that, every movie and TV show and Star Wars thing after that has been a series of IP-driven projects adapted from a line of Kenner action figures based on that one movie. Now, exactly two of those movies have been actual great films that elevated the blockbuster format and were bigger and better and whatnot, but it's exactly two of those. The rest are mostly pretty good. The rest of
Yeah, I agree with that. Star Wars has always been an aggressively good franchise, but I never felt it was a great franchise. People who are like, Star Wars was my childhood. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but like, didn't you watch something better as a kid too? I'm sorry, that's probably mean to say. I think the idea of Star Wars has always been better than Star Wars itself. Even the best Star Wars movies, like Empire, arguably Last Jedi is up there. Andor is probably the best Star Wars thing, I'd say. I just don't think they're particularly great. Like Lord of the Rings is great. The original Lord of the Rings is great. I shouldn't say original. I should say the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. If I say original, I mean I'm talking like the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings film. Like no, that's not great. Dune is great. Dune is great. I think the original, The Thing, the remake of The Thing with John Carpenter, that is great. I would say The Godfather is great. Star Wars is consistently good, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be great, but it's good. And sometimes it's mid, and sometimes it's bad. Which Dune? I'd say the new Dune movies are really great. But I have a soft spot for the 80s Dune quite a lot. The first Jurassic Park, that's great. Agreed. Yeah, first Jurassic Park's incredible. Some of the superhero movies out there are great. Not all of them. Again, most of them are aggressively good too, but some of them are great.
the Star Wars show.
LA Confidential, another great film. Unforgiven, that's great too. There are very few greats.
And movies, games, book, whatever things, mostly pretty good. Most of the Star Wars is pretty good. There's one unique, special, game-changing Star Wars movie, and it's the original. There's two great films, and the rest of it, pretty good. And this is one of the pretty good ones. This is great. I had a good time with this. It's got a cool space guy who does cool space guy stuff. It's got cool aliens and alien fighting, alien laser stuff, spaceships zipping around, people getting shot at with lasers, arena fights, monsters, daring do, pulp serial shit. I'm pretty sure there were two robots that were done with stop motion or animated to look like they were done with stop motion. Either way, that's cool. That's badass as hell. CGI looks pretty good. I wish it was more colorful. I wish they'd stop doing this gray.
Yeah, I think it need to be more colorful. But again, this is a very superficial review. You know, it's very light on details. It kind of goes, oh, that was fun. I had a good time. Yeah, it's fair. And I think it's important too with Bob's approach, because Bob usually goes from the approach of like, did I enjoy it? Yeah, did I not? That's fine. And he allows he's mainly focused on the out of theater experience, right? Which is fine, and that's good. It's not what I usually do my reviews based on. I don't like to go for the out of theater experience because I like a little more like I like to digest the film a little bit more. I like to sit with it. What's my favorite Western? We went over this before. My favorite Western is still Unforgiven. I think Unforgiven's a masterpiece, though Once Upon a Time in the West and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly are up there too. Though that being said, though, if No Country for Old Men counts as a Western, it's also up there for me. Need to digest Radda's muscle. What is muscles? I hear you there. Spider-Man 2, Batman Begins, and Dark Knight are great superhero films, Imo. I would agree on Spider-Man 2. I think I have issues with Nolan's trilogy as a whole. I like them. I think Nolan's trilogy are fun movies, but not great adaptations, is my perspective. I think The Batman, I would say, is a great Batman movie. I think The Batman is the best Batman movie so far. That being said, though, I also love the Tim Burton ones too. Blade One's great. Love Blade One. I would also say that I think that one of the best superhero films, though, is Logan. Logan is great. Logan's a masterpiece, I think. The fairy scene in Dark Knight is great. That is a great scene. I agree. They are great moments in The Dark Knight. I just don't like it as an adaptation of Batman. But you know, there are great scenes in it, I think.
Brown stuff to hide the seams of the CGI. Don't try to hide the seams in CGI. If you're going to use CGI, just use CGI and show it to me. But it looks very cool. The cool space guy throws the puppet at stuff. There's whole stretches of this that's mostly the puppet just being a puppet and doing puppet stuff. I love just watching him and the other puppets just walk around and be puppets. There are big stretches of this movie that are just puppets doing puppet shit. Climbing up walls as puppets, puppets talking to other puppets and making puppet noises. Very little English dialogue between each other. And
yeah, very Dark Crystal-esque. That's the stuff I like the most. Again, because it feels different. And that is a bit of a risk, too, to center your film so much on puppetry. People do not talk enough about the artistry behind puppetry. But again, it's a very... I don't know. I think it's a very shallow review, but it's fine. It's a long review. Shit. I didn't realize it was 12 minutes. What else can he say past this? What is he going to say about it? Okay, hang on. You know what? Now I'm curious. 12 minutes. Okay, let's take a look what I have to say.
And even unsubtitles, just things looking at each other going, blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, and making alien noises at each other. I live for that. I would watch a whole movie that's just the Star Wars aliens making Star Wars noises at each other. Just aliens making squawk noises at each other, and then spaceships flying around and shooting each other with lasers. That's the shit. That's all I want to see out of this. That is the stuff. That is the raw, uncut stuff, and that is like 80% of the good parts of this movie. And this movie is about like 90% good. And the parts
that sounds like old school movie Bob at this pace, actually.
that are just like minor nitpicky stuff. It's a little long, but not like that too much a little long. I think it's barely over 2 hours. I probably could have seen it knocked out in 90 minutes, but it's that kind of movie. It's got a weird act structure. It does very much feel like they kind of said, okay, we're just going to speed through the first half of what might have been another season of the show, but that ends up kind of working as a plus, because I kept thinking, man, I don't know if we're at the end of the movie or not. I don't know what's going to happen.
I thought it was more like a double plot. Like, so an old plot structure that I love a lot is the double plot. I think it's a really good structure this film employs. So the double plot is basically your first half of the movie is one narrative. And then the second half, or even like, but it doesn't have to be exactly half. It could be like a third of the way through the script or halfway through the script. An event happens that changes the actual plot and conflict of the story. I think that one of the greatest examples of a double plot is the original Psycho. You know, the first half of that movie is Marion Crane stealing some money and going on the run. And the movie is about a woman with cash in her pocket running away from the law, from her old life. And then she comes to the Bates Motel and meets Norman Bates. And that seems like it's going to resolve the money plot. She sees this guy living with his mother, and you know, he doesn't seem all that happy. And so what happens is you think, okay, the plot is resolving itself. She takes kind of what she spent. She takes the shower, and it seems like it's a redemption moment. And then she gets murdered. And then the film shifts. It's no longer about Marion Crane. It's about investigating what happened to Marion Crane, and that's double plot. First half is a robbery movie. Second half's a murder mystery movie, and it's a murder mystery that's like an open case. It's like a Columbo episode. It's not a who done it. It's a how catch 'em, right? And so you know who did it. It's the mother. But how's he going to catch him? And that becomes the mystery. But then you realize, no, you don't know who did it because the mother's dead. So who could have killed? It's interesting in that sense. Another great example of double plot from a recent movie is Black Panther. Black Panther has that same double plot where each section of the film, the first half with Ulysses Claw and the second half with Killmonger, yes, they're connected, but they're two different conflicts, essentially, that feed into one another. And that structure really works very well. Barbarian also has that. You're right. I'm seeing in comments mention Barbarian. Yeah, another great example of that. Barbarian starts off as kind of a stranger danger movie, and then it shifts. And every time it shifts, it does have a miniature conflict and plot that adds up to the whole of the movie. Exactly correct. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no. So he gave it a better score than Batman and Andor and Dune. Okay, that I don't agree with. That I really don't agree with. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
What happened next? When was the last time I could not predict when the end of the movie might be? Not often. That is actual tension. What an unfamiliar feeling for a film critic, honestly. And in real seriousness, do you know what I honestly enjoyed about this as someone who does professionally and as a fan follow as best able the Star Wars stuff? I didn't have to remember shit about the TV show or anything else in the Star Wars continuity of stuff. Even though I basically do, I didn't have to watch this movie. That is my honest, best selling point of this, which I imagine some people will bitch about. I can imagine a lot of complaining and whining I haven't read any other reviews for this yet, but I can imagine so much complaining is going to happen about this that there is no continuum or lore or previously on The Mandalorian or setting up for the next movie. There is nothing going on in this that feels like, oh, they're going to pick that up in the show. Oh, that's a lore drop for the next. None. There is none going on here. I could not tell you other than just by general assumption.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's been a common sentiment too, because a lot of these movies, and I think it's worth discussing and analyzing at some point, because beyond what I've already done on this channel, where I go into talking about why it does feel like homework for some movies, but not others, even if there's an equal amount of continuity you have to remember to follow it. Because the problem is with a lot of these films is that the lore isn't woven in naturally and organically to the story. I think of the Marvels with this too, because I kept track of everything. I followed everything leading up to it. So when I'm watching it, I know what this character is, know what this is, I know what that is. But it's not introduced into the film, right? Watch the original Avengers. Everything is introduced in the film. So even if you're not familiar with the continuity leading up to that point, you can watch it and go, oh, there's Tony Stark. Here's who Tony Stark is. Here's who Captain America is. Here's who Thor is. And they have, here's who the Hulk is. And they have that kind of introductory scene that establishes to you what's happening so you can follow along pretty well. There's an art to that. It's an artistry, but it's difficult with these recent films where they just kind of expect you to know everything and they don't bother introducing them back to you. Yeah, the Marvels catches up the audience when they get to know each other, but that's not enough. It's kind of that movie needed a longer setup, I think, to some extent, because the characters just come across as arbitrary, and you're not sure who they are. If you haven't familiarized yourself with the works, how effective some of the scenes are depends on you're going in for it, you know. And again, it's all subjective entertainment, but I think a lot of people do get frustrated if they can't just sit down and watch a movie and follow it.
At Mustafa_Ahmed super chatted $2. It's like that for the new Sonic movies too.
Yes, agreed. And it's tricky. It's frustrating.
That this must take place after the most recent episodes of the show, where if you told me that this happened in the middle of the first season of the show, or after season 3, or during the Book of Boba Fett, or at some point in season 3, or in the middle of season 2, or between any of the seasons, it would feel exactly as correct. This could happen anywhere in there, because it's just a story on its own involving the guy in the metal suit and his little puppet buddy. Like, that's it. That's all that happens here. There's no lore stuff, no mythology, no continuing of the continuity, no big, setups of, that guy's going to be important later. That's the guy we've seen before. That's the guy that we're going to see again. Nobody shows up and says, I will see you soon in another movie, Mandalorian. There's no after or during credits shit where a guy pops up in a hologram and says, it's a good thing the Mandalorian doesn't know what we're planning to do to the Republic. No, none of that shit. None of that.
Exactly. That's a good thing. I agree.
At the Waverunner Super Chatted $5. Disney gave their Star Wars land complex lore that just flew over the average guest's head. Darth Vader is now a character there. They gave up on it.
Yeah, it's like Galaxy's Edge had some good lore, but like no one gives a fuck. It's the Star Wars land. So where's Darth Vader? Where's Han Solo? That's what people's thought process is. No one cares about the complex lore of your fucking theme park world. It might be fun, and it's good for theorists. It's good for like the hardcore fans. But the average person going with their kids isn't going to fucking know who Galaxy's Edge is. They just want to go, here's the cool shit. Let's get to that. They even took down some of the animatronics for that. I don't know.
That shit. There's no setting up another movie. No setting.
Yeah, it's like a shonen anime movie. Yeah. So the Mandalorian and Grogu is like the dead zone of Star Wars movie. It's Garlic Jr. That's what it is. Casper's wouldn't care with the Mortis gods. Yeah, apparently not, right? Yeah, so this is like the One Piece Red. I'm saying, okay. Anyway, back to this.
Setting up another. None. You know what it reminds me of? And I know that this will age me. It reminds me of when, like, 90s anime shows.
Fuck!
Because I know anime does their movies different now. Like, the movies are like the season breaks where they pay off storylines. It reminds me of when 90s anime shows would do their movies because the show was on break.
Jesus Christ, he made the exact reference I was going to make. Seconds after I did it. That's funny. Bob, we're on the same wavelength. I'm not sure if that's that's funny as shit. Exact same
At
movie
Olivia
too.
_ Williams _ purple _ fairy super chatted $2.03. Jenny Nicholson made good videos on Galaxy Edge.
Yeah, her big video on like the Star Wars hotel is fantastic. I agree. That's so funny. I love it. He just means Dragon Ball. Well, I mean, there's also Sailor Moon did that too. The 3 Sailor Moon movies, none of them are like heavy in continuity. That being said, though, of course, Sailor Moon R movie is the best one. I love Sailor Moon R the movie. But like, of course, there was some 90s anime that had some great heavy. That's not universal though. Some anime movies were very continuity heavy. Like, for example, End of Evangelion is immensely heavy on continuity. It's the end of the series, after all. Also, End of Evangelion. Can we talk about for a second how good End of Evangelion is? So, how was I was just looking at this before. Okay, so here's something I found. Yeah, cool, awesome. So let me bring this up real quick. On Blue Sky, I just saw this. This was great. Very jealous, by the way. Very jealous of you there. But so airbagged here. Kate Bush's husband got to meet Tiffany Grant at a convention. She apparently is very. I've heard nothing but positive stories. I know that friend of the channel, Red Bard, got to was actually helped out by Tiffany Grant on a project they were working on, Kennedy, regarding the famous the sex PSA for Evangelion, quote unquote, because Tiffany Grant just had it in her fucking attic. I've heard other good things with Tiffany Grant. One thing I do want to talk about at some point, another project I was thinking about doing with the in regards to book reviews, was one on Evangelion Anima, where I was going to do a review of the book, and I was going to do what I did with the Shad's book, where I include snippets of the audiobook in the video itself. I forgot when listening to Anima, though, that the audiobook's read by Tiffany Grant. So I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. I should do that. But yeah, no. So yeah, nothing beats The VA of Evangelion calling you pathetic in character. I love it. That's great. I'm very jealous right there. Yeah, and some folks, including yeah, there you go. If you see yourself, if you see yourself, tag yourself.
At user_225_CCC super chatted $1.99. What happened to coming of age movies?
They're dead. Everything's dead. Everything but blockbusters are dead. It's terrible. I hate it. You know what a great coming of age movie was when I was a kid? Everything that came out every week in the theaters. There were some really fun ones, and the coming of age story is unfortunately very not commonly made because the film industry is scared of making movies that are original. And that's the problem. Call her out and duel in a mega God. Man carrying things video, yeah. Apparently, Man Carrying Things has seen my work and likes what I do, so I'm very happy about that. Made me really happy to read that. I made a comment on one of his videos, and he's like, "Oh, I like your stuff." Like, oh fuck, that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I love that.
And you'd watch it, and you'd realize that this did not give a fuck for whatever was happening on the show. Like, you'd watch it, and they'd just be fighting a cool guy, and it would be the coolest fight shit that had ever happened in the show, but you'd have to look at it and go, wait a minute, when did they fight this guy? Did this happen on the way to Namek, or on the way back from Namek?
Yeah,
Are they still on Namek at this point? Can they even use that power right now? When did they fight it? But it didn't matter, because it was the coolest shit you'd ever seen them do, and in the English dub version, they would, like, loop some new metal onto it, and it would be the sickest fight you'd ever seen, and then it would, when you pick back up the show, it would be just, did that even happen? Did they fight that guy? Did any of that matter? Didn't matter if it didn't matter. But the plot...
Okay, so I gotta talk about it right now. The sequence in... And I can't play it because it'll get my video demonetized in seconds. I adore the scene in Return of Cooler where Goku turns Super Saiyan and they have Deftones. It's one of the coolest freaking scenes in any... Every time I talk to old school Dragon Ball Z fans who watch the dub, and you're like, oh yeah, the movies, I watched them on VHS, whatever. Every time, like... So that when they Return of Cooler, where they play Deftones when he's about to fight Cooler, that's such a cool freaking sequence. One of the best cases of a song that should not fit Dragon Ball Z being placed in there. It's fucking peak. It is one of the most peak sequences in any of these. It's just, yeah, it's such a fucking good song. Oh, I love that. And it's also a great song in general. Like, it's just a good song. Like, it's on top of all else. Deftones is pretty awesome. That song's fantastic. Pantera also, great use of Pantera in the Broly film, but there's something that gives you chills about the scene in the Return of Cooler. I just love it. Oh, it's so good.
A lot of this one is basically that Mandalorian and Grogu get involved in some business involving the Hutts, and they handle the business with the Hutts, and then they go off and get back into, presumably, whatever they're doing on the show. Did any of this matter? Who knows? It was a cool way to spend about 120 minutes in the movie theater watching Star Wars shit happen. Badass. Loved it. I love that. I love that I can just go in, watch some Star Wars stuff, and it doesn't have to be part of my homework for the other rest of Star Wars. This is a bunch of action figures punching each other and shooting lasers at each other. There's a guy who shows up to be like a fight scene, a couple of fight scenes for The Mandalorian, and if this was a guy that we'd seen before on the TV show, I think I might have forgotten. I don't remember if they say what his name is. He might have been in the credits. I don't know. I was looking to see if I got messages during the movie at that point, because I put my phone away like a grown-up. But it doesn't matter, because he's cool. He's got cool weapons. He does cool in fight scenes. And he has a different hat so that you can tell him apart from the other bad guys. And he looks awesome in his fight scene. And if he has a name...
What percentage of AMVs did use Linkin Park? I'd say 60% easy.
I will find out when my nephew asks me for his action figure. Because this is a fucking Star Wars movie, and that's how characters work in these. Alright? And we'd all do well to fucking remember that. There's so many new, cool, weird little guys in this one. Fucking big snake monsters, crazy frog guys. I know that crazy frog guy describes like a dozen other dudes in Star Wars, but now there's like new crazy fang-having frog guys. They got Sigourney Weaver in this, and she's basically here, so the movie can be like, hey guys, look, Sigourney Weaver's here. She's sometimes a serious actress, and we've got her saying Star Wars words. Isn't that crazy? Martin Scorsese doing an alien voice, ain't that nuts? I just had a really good time watching the puppets and the aliens and the spaceship.
Martin Scorsese is the best like cameo of the whole movie because it's just Scorsese talking. Like I'm convinced they gave him notes and just told him improvise. You know, I do love that. He is the Martin Scorsese might give the best performance of the movie in terms of like actual quality of acting. Like just a chill, just a fun little bit. I love that.
Ships do shit, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's Star Wars. Do I got criticisms? Yeah, like I said, they could turn the lights up a little bit, use more colors, get a couple robots with stop motion because nerds like me think that's cool. I didn't think it was cool. I think they should do more of that. It is kind of amusing that it's been like, what, 30 years since they first did it in the special editions, and they still can't make the Hutts not look like shit with CGI because, like, Jabba the Hutt was only ever designed to be just a big pile of rubber that guys were puppeteering from inside, making the mouth move when you go, and like that was never meant to make physical sense. Like, what the hell is Jabba even shaped like? Why does a slug have sort of a torso and arms? Does he even have feet under there? We don't know. But now they do them in CGI, and they have to figure out how this ridiculously designed creature moves around, and it just never looks good. And now they've got like 3 or 4 different Hutt characters in this one, and they all look different degrees of bad in CGI. Like, it looks fine, I guess, but it still just doesn't look good. They've never figured out what the texture of that is supposed to be or where the different parts of them begin or end. But on the other hand, they got Jeremy Allen White doing the voice, so isn't it funny that there's a Hutt that just sounds like a regular guy? I'm pretty sure he's playing the guy who was like the little son of Jabba guy from the first terrible Clone Wars movie. So that's fun. That's a nice callback. And he's a fun character, but the CGI for them just always looks bad whenever they do the Hutts in CGI, having them try to like move around and not look stupid. But like, other than that, that's the only thing that really looks bad in it. The rest of it looks really cool. It probably sounds like I'm overselling this. You're almost not prepared for how much of this is just, look, we figured out how to make the Baby Yoda puppet walk around and move around like a puppet, so we are going to show the shit out of it in this one. And there's a lot of it, and it looks cool. Like, they really know that it is just cool to have a puppet walk around and, you know, make baby noises and do Force stuff, and we're going to do the hell out of it, and it looks great. So much of this is almost a silent movie, watching puppets walk around and make goo-goo noises at each other, and I'm here for it. So yeah. Fuck it. I call this a 9 out of 10. I thought it was terrific. 9 out of 10 for the...
I wouldn't say 9 out of 10. I know the reviews are... I know the numbers are arbitrary, but it's a 7. For me, The Mandalorian and Grogu is a 6.5, 7 out of 10 movie. It is the most 7 out of 10 movie. It is inoffensive. It is fine. It is good. Maybe a 6.5, I'd say. You know, I think on Letterboxd I gave it like 3 stars out of 5, but like that's basically what it is. It is a middle of the road, fun, nothing bad. It's okay. See, for me, I wouldn't say 5 out of 10 for mid because even though I know it is like a half score, I'm on the American grading system, so 65 is a failure. They get 6 out of... A 65 is a fail, so for me that's where it is. 50 is a super F. I know like in Europe that's not the case, but in America that's you know how it is. Anyway, so yeah. Do I agree with Movie Bob? To an extent. You know, I think I'm more aligned with him on this than I am with Drinker. Which is typical. I think Movie Bob has become much less offensive in some of his content. Because for me, listen, I know Bob watches, so if you're seeing this, I'm going to give you shit for this. His Scream reviews, man, those are fucking painful. I am not as a fan of almost all the Scream movies, I was like, no, Bob, you're way off base with these. America has its own grading system. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So in the American grading system, basically an A is 90 and above, a B is 80 and above, a C is 70 and above, a D is 66 and above, and an F is 65 and lower. So, which I understand is very different than the grading system in Europe and Britain and even Canada even. Yeah. With Bob, it's like, I feel like he's not grifting. He's just saying what he thinks. I think that's the problem. People like kind of try to make it like an equation, right? Where it's like, I guess like Critical Drinker on one side, Movie Bob on the other, but it's like, they're not really comparable, you know? Yeah, like, but Movie Bob's interesting. He's a character, and I don't think as anything. I always like keeping up with what he's doing. I think it's interesting. I don't agree with him on everything, but I don't. But when I disagree, it's in a way that can build conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's good to engage with criticism from movie critics you don't always agree with, if it is used in a way to spur on greater discussion. That's what I think. I think this movie criticism has become this very didactic kind of, you're the right guy or you're the wrong guy. And that's not how it works, you know? I want to do something real fun for a second. There's something fun. It's I want to see what this is like. Hang on.
So what we thought we'd do is take another look at Star Wars, which just now broke the United States box office record, which was once held by Gone with the Wind and then by Jaws. Star Wars goes into national re-release for the Christmas season, and for many people that'll be another chance to see those two wonderful non-human friends of ours, the robots R2-D2 and C-3PO. Here we see them in a planetary wasteland.
What a desolate place this is. Where do you think you're going? What mission? What are you talking about? I've just about had enough of you. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a...
The movie is supposed to be set millions and millions of years ago in a galaxy far away, but every time I see it, R2-D2 and C-3PO somehow remind me of Laurel and Hardy. In any event, they may only be robots, but they're the two most sympathetic characters in the film, and it took great special effects to create them. And that's another thing Star Wars and Close Encounters have in common. Real magic of combining animation, models, double, triple exposures, and all the other tricks of the special effects trade. Look, for example, at this sensational battle in outer space.
At L1V3W1R3D super chatted $5. They always ask who is the director, but they never ask, how is the director?
Well,
cheeky smiley face.
That's not always true. With some directors, you really ask, how are they doing? Like, is Hideaki Anno okay? is Hideaki Anno doing all right? Wow. Fight.
Boom! So there you have it. Your basic intergalactic warfare as the heroic princess is snatched away from the Death Star by the intrepid space buccaneers. And what's the meaning of it all? Who knows and who cares? Star Wars became the new box office champion by providing pure 100% escapist entertainment. It's one of those rare movies that seems to play to every sort of audience, Gene, and bring out the kid in all of us.
You know, I've seen the picture 3 times, and that sequence more than that. And every time I see that little fighting sequence, I think I figured out the secret of at least that chunk of the movie, and that is, that looks exactly like what happens at a pinball game that kids love. We're seeing things blow up, and I think the way this movie is shot different ways, quick action like that, it's like you're putting every person as a pinball player who walks into the theater.
Maybe that's why people can see it a dozen times or 24 times, because it doesn't matter that you know the story. You still have the sound and light, the effects, the explosions, the dogfight in outer space. It's just a never-ending visual delight. I think it's a movie that will last for years.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is it's so successful and so mindless fun that I hope Hollywood doesn't forget that there are people who like to see serious pictures too.
Okay, so that's worth discussing, isn't it? So the original Star Wars reviews, they were like, you know, this is fun, but it's stupid and no one cares what the plot is. And I hope they don't forget to make serious movies in Hollywood. You know, they compared it to a pinball game, you know. And again, Siskel and Ebert are some of the greats of movie criticism. Even when I disagree with them, which is frequent. I frequently disagree with them.
Tricks of the special effects.
Siskel and Ebert were able to present their ideas in a way that's very interesting and informative. So the question becomes, where do you go from that? You know, how do you take that? Where do we go from there when interpreting all this material? The thing is, they didn't particularly think it was a particularly good plot. C-3PO was the most sympathetic character, which means none of them cared about Luke Skywalker. They even mentioned Darth Vader. The spectacle is the key component that makes people want to see it. But yeah, I think it's worth discussing and analyzing.
At WC Wit super chatted $5. Anno's a happily married man making movies about his childhood heroes alongside his longtime friend, collaborator these days.
Which is great. I love that. I love that for him. Because again, even if I think the movies he's making aren't as compelling as the art he made when he was younger and more depressed, I think it's still really interesting to always check in on him and see what he's working on. Because some of the stuff he's working on is really cool. Is it as deep and informative as his old stuff? Not so much. But it's more entertaining, you know? It's very fun. His Godzilla film's fucking fantastic. I'm not a big ultra. I'm not like a huge tokusatsu guy. So for me, I get less. So for me, like Ultraman and Kamen Rider do less for me than say Shin Godzilla does. Not because they're worse films. It's not the kind of thing I'm super into. I like them, but I'm not like super into tokusatsu. So for me, like watching his kaiju stuff is for me more entertaining personally because I like kaiju stuff more.
At Olivia_Williams_purple_fairy super chatted $2.03. What kind of pinball machine they played?
Some fucking pinball machine. I'll put you that one right there. What's scarier, companion or obsession? Obsession. That's way more scary than companion. I didn't find companion particularly scary at all. And honestly, I don't really find obsession all that scary either. I find it more dread-inducing. Is the best way of putting it. Ebert sucks. Roger Ebert and Siskel have some takes. I'll say right now. I don't want to hold up either of them as like the pinnacle of film criticism, but I find them very interesting, right? Siskel and Ebert are very, very, very compelling film critics. And what's interesting is more like Movie Bob, a lot of what they say is more the emotional out of the theater experience. And there's some odd things that they bring up. I'll give you an example right now, since we're getting to that point of the stream where I start talking about random shit. Here's one Siskel and Ebert review I really don't agree with at all. Here's one I really don't agree with at all. Oh.
At the Waverner super chatted $2. Can we look at the North review for fun?
Yes, Wave, for you, we'll look at North next. I want to look at this one first, only because it illustrates how I sometimes really don't agree with them at all. And it kind of ties in with Obsession a little bit more, too. But we'll get to North next, because I do love the North review.
Our next movie is named Blue Velvet, and already this movie has caused a firestorm around the country, with some advanced reviews calling it a masterpiece and others calling it sick and depraved, and still others calling it a sick, depraved masterpiece.
That's why
the movie takes place in a small town where a young couple stumbles over a mystery that begins with the discovery of a severed human ear and leads them to suspect that the ear might belong to the missing husband of a local nightclub singer. Here's the scene where the young couple, Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern,
at Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Why do I keep wanting to call Obsession Wish Upon?
Oh, I don't know, man. Wish Upon sucked. I did not like Wish Upon at all. But that was a whole other movie, too.
Make a plan to spy on the older woman.
There are opportunities in life for gaining knowledge and experience.
Okay, chat, question. Who's seen Blue Velvet? Let me ask in chat who's seen it, because this is a great movie if you haven't. Okay, chat, let me know. Have you seen Blue Velvet? Because it is a masterpiece of cinema. Blue Velvet is... Okay, so for those who have not seen Blue Velvet, this is like the film where David Lynch became David Lynch. Like he did Eraserhead, he did Elephant Man, he did Dune, and this is what he did next. And Blue Velvet is one of the greatest movies of how deeply screwed up small town America is. It is amazing. Blue Velvet is another great movie. Like, not just good, it's great. It's also very difficult to sit through. There are scenes in this movie that are so disturbing and so screwed up. And it's so sick, and it's so twisted, and it's so depraved. And it's cruel. And it's cruel in a way that feels real. It doesn't feel like heightened. It's not like a lot of movies now. I'm going to get into this topic right now. Like, for example, Obsession, for example, with the brick scene. It's violent, it's vicious, it's brutal, but it doesn't disturb. It's actually kind of funny how violent it is. 'Cause it's so extreme and sudden and abrupt. Blue Velvet is slow. It's careful. It's moody. And it has one of the all-time greatest film villains with Dennis Hopper's character. Dennis Hopper's character is deeply unsettling. He is frightening, deeply frightening. And the things he does on screen, I don't want to say too much because I think Siskel and Ebert mentioned it too. He is violently cruel to this one woman, like, and it's done in a way that's real. Like, it feels like you're watching something you shouldn't be watching, and it's a masterpiece.
At Nick Wolf 3885 super chatted $1.99. Saw Blue Velvet in college. Need to watch it again.
It's worth a revisit. It really is. That's a movie that you can revisit multiple times in your life, and you get something else out of it, I think. And it grows. And I think it's the second collaboration between Kyle MacLachlan and David Lynch. Before they did Dune previously, and later would go on to do Twin Peaks, which is another David Lynch masterpiece. But as you're going to see right here, Siskel and Ebert are going to have, let's see, who's seen this? So about, okay, so about a little more than half of you have, and less than half of you have. Okay, that's good.
Sometimes it's necessary to take a risk. And I got to thinking, I'll bet someone could learn a lot by getting into that woman's...
Played by Isabella Rossellini, discovers McLaughlin...
Are you crazy? Jeffrey, she's possibly involved in murder.
In the movie's most shocking scene, the nightclub singer, played by Isabella Rossellini, discovers McLaughlin hiding in her apartment.
Who sent you here?
Nobody.
I've seen you before.
I sprayed your apartment. I took your key. I didn't mean to do anything except see you.
What do you see tonight? Tell me.
Isabella Rossellini. Isn't that also from... Let me double check something real quick. Oh, no, it's Isabella Johnny. Never mind. Okay, for a second I thought that was also... Never mind. I thought the name was from Possession real quick. Anyway, back to this.
I saw you come in. I saw you talk on the phone.
And then?
We got undressed.
We were just talking.
Oh. You're from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Your neighbor. But what's your name, neighbor?
Jeffrey.
He's a good kid, Frank.
Hey, you want to go for a ride?
No, thanks.
No, thanks. What does that mean?
I don't want to go.
Go where?
For a ride.
A ride. Now, that's a good idea. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Get your robe.
That's Dennis Hopper as the bad guy there. Blue Velvet is a movie that really challenges you to think about your reactions to it. And my reaction is, I think this movie is cruelly unfair to its actors. It was directed by David Lynch, the same man who made Eraserhead and Dune. And he's a talented director. You can see that here in scenes that have a lot of power. But he asked Isabella Rossellini in this movie to be undressed and humiliated on the screen, as few actresses ever have been, certainly in non-porno roles. And then he tries to take the edge off her shocking scenes by turning the whole thing into some kind of a joke. Well, either this material is funny, in which case you don't take advantage of your stars, or it isn't funny, in which case it shouldn't have so much campy and adolescent dialogue along with the really powerful sexual scenes. Sure, the movie's well made, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it.
Well, I liked it, and I thought about it a lot, and I think you may be on the wrong tack in trying to feel sorry for Isabella Rossellini, because after all, she consented to do what she did on the screen, number one. Number two, I'm sure she's walking around wherever she lives, New York City or whatever, and survived the whole experience, just like Janet Leigh survived the shower scene in Psycho. So I don't think that that's pertinent. I think what's exciting about the film, and it is challenging, is it starts out with flowers and sunlight, and it's a happy little town, and then we dig deeper and we find out it's a nasty town, or at least a couple of people are nasty. And I sat there, and this did for me, and I use the Psycho example again, this did for me what Psycho did as a lot younger, which is eyes open and, oh my God, we're really getting in over our heads. And that's an experience which is challenging, shocking, but mesmerizing, and I like the picture.
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm on the wrong tack with Isabella Rossellini. In the first place, the movie...
Yes, so that's the argument
At Nick
structure,
Wolf
right?
3885 super chatted $1.99. Bowser versus Lisan Al Gabe.
Bowser. I'm kidding. In what sense? No, but like, that's Siskel and Ebert structure. You have two guys sitting in a chair talking about movies, and they go back and forth. And when they disagree, it's even better. But this is a case where I really don't agree with them. I think it's fascinating to see how they take this movie we now see as a classic and they don't enjoy it. Well, Ebert doesn't enjoy it anyway. And I don't agree with Ebert on this one. Usually I agree more with Ebert than Siskel, but and this one I'm on Siskel's side. Siskel is right. The movie does challenge you, and I think when you think about it more, it gets better and better. Hooper though is, and again, like the one thing I see a lot with these reviews, they get very hung up on the role the women play in these films, but they don't take into account sometimes the actors did agree to it. They signed up for the role. They wanted to express this. In fact, Laura Dern would go on to work with David Lynch many, many, many times. I think they became like good friends in real life too, So, the thing also with David Lynch is he conducted very good sets. The actors never felt unsafe as far as I've heard. He was always very respectful for their needs. He wasn't pulling Stanley Kubrick.
She was shot in 2 halves, so she had no idea, making her part of the movie, that all of the stuff outdoors and in the daylight was going to be smarmy and campy and funny with all kinds of in-jokes. And secondly, it seems to me that we can't divorce our reactions. It's not how Isabella Rossellini reacts to the fact that she's standing there nude and humiliated on the lawn of the police captain's house with lots of people watching. It's how I react. And that's painful to me, to see a woman treated like that, and I want to know that if I'm feeling that pain, it's for a reason that the movie has other than simply to cause pain to her.
Well, I think that the reason is that the film is a thriller and a shocker. I mean, there are people that get hurt badly in real life, and I think that this is a legitimate one. This is not a simple mad slasher
then
movie.
why is it a comedy?
Because he wants to set you up. He's a director, and he wants to play you like all the great directors want to do. He wants to play you like a piano, which is have you smile and then swing you right into some depression.
Yeah, well, the next time that somebody wants to play me like a piano, he'd better get some music that's worth listening to.
I think this is a good song.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But look at how film discourse used to be, right? It used to be people who disagreed, sitting together, going back and forth. There was no grift. There was no... again, Siskel did pull some shit with horror that we'll get to another time. But it's interesting how you get this really intelligent discussion. Now, do I agree with Ebert? By no means. But by disagreeing, I think what we get is something really profound. We get a sense of why I liked it by arguing back against him. I think everything Ebert said was wrong about the film. But I also can articulate that by hearing him criticize it. And that's the part that's really interesting. That's what that's really interesting, because we are looking at it from the perspective of like, okay, I don't agree with him on this. Here's what he said. And here's why I think that he's wrong. And through that, we're able to formulate our own opinions stronger and more effectively. And that's the art of great criticism. It allows you to think about the film more. The Grogu, the Mandalorian, all that, it's a superficial film, yes, but through discussion, we were able to discuss the film in more detail, break it down further, analyze the plot structure, the puppetry, the artistry behind it, and through doing so, analyze it more thoroughly. Same with Obsession, even though they're not talking about fucking Obsession.
At Mustafa_Ahmed super chatted $5. I feel like a lot of critics these days treat everything as a zero-sum game in many different ways, and it frustrates me. It's all one way or another.
Exactly. Like, there's nothing in shades of gray anymore. It's all, oh, this is the great film of the day. This is amazing. This is amazing. Oh, this is great. The acting was terrible. The sets were great. Whatever it fucking is. Every movie has components that are worth examining. And to be dismissive of everything. Like, you look at the Critical Drinker review. It's like, oh, everything's so soulless and shot soullessly. Like, it's going to be AI. Okay, well, why do you think that? Nothing. We don't hear anything about that. He focuses on the plot so much. He makes these statements that he throws out there. Movie Bob's like, there could be more color. That's specific. That's a specific criticism. Okay, there could be more color. I agree with that. The movie is very colorless. The specificity of your criticism is vital. You have to be able to specify it, hone it in on something specific that could materially be different. I don't know. But because I do want to bring this up before we wrap up, let's listen to his North review, because that's really good. One of the all-time great reviews of Siskel and Ebert.
See this rash? You see it? Him mole men. None. There's no ointment.
Yeah, let me tell you, let me remind you who you're talking to. Only this year's recipient of the coveted Mr. Inseam Award. Well, that shut him up.
A boy played by Elijah Wood gets fed up with his folks in that scene from North and decides that since they don't pay attention to him, he will divorce them and go looking for a new set of parents. And that's the setup for one of the most thoroughly hateful movies of recent years. A movie that makes me cringe.
I also love how we went through like 3 decades of Siskel and Ebert and they've gotten progressively older as we go on.
Even when I'm sitting here thinking about it. Look at this scene, for example, where young North is in court trying to dump his parents who are comatose with shock.
And there's nothing left for me to do but make my judgment. And in my judgment, any folks who would sleep through a trial like this are folks who don't deserve to have a wonderful, upstanding son like North.
Then there's a series of auditions as would-be parents from around the country try out for the role of North's new mom and dad. Dan Aykroyd and Reba McEntire are a couple of absurd Texans who want to adopt him.
We had a son who was trampled by a ton of longhorns, but you're here cutes to fill his boots as flat as they may be.
Next stop, the Hawaiian Islands, where we get some amazingly tasteless dialogue about why these two people don't have children.
God, this line.
Hawaii is a lush and fertile land. In fact, there's only one barren area on all of our islands. Unfortunately, it's Mrs. Holt.
A mysterious character keeps turning up on North's travels. He's played by Bruce Willis as an Easter Bunny, a Western ranch hand, a beachcomber, and a Federal Express driver who gets in lots of product plugs.
What are you, some kind of guardian angel?
Well, I guess you can say that. Because in a manner of speaking, we at Federal Express feel that we are guardians.
I want to point out this was directed by unfortunately the late Carl Reiner. Late Rob Reiner. I'm sorry, Rob Reiner, not Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner is his father. The late Rob Reiner. And this effectively ended one of the greatest runs of any director of all time. And I do think the film that he did follow this up with was also really good. But Rob Reiner had one of the most legendary runs in Hollywood history at this time. I'm going to tell you. So Rob Reiner's films. Okay, so at this point in time, Rob Reiner's films were This Is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, which I actually have not seen The Sure Thing, so I won't count that one, but we'll work around that. So This Is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, Stand By Me, one of the great Stephen King adaptations, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, North, The American President, Ghost Mississippi. You know, it's like one of those things where like this movie is such a bizarre anomaly in the career of Rob Reiner. It is so terrible. Terrible. That it's ridiculous. Hey, I saw your message there, Donatello. We already discussed that at the beginning of the stream. You just scroll back and see my thoughts on it. Anyway, back to this.
Guardians of your most important packages and priority communicate.
I hated this movie as much as any movie we've ever reviewed in the 19 years we've been doing this show. I hated it because of the premise, which seemed shockingly cold-hearted, and because this premise is being suggested to kids as children's entertainment, and because everybody in the movie was vulgar and stupid, and because the jokes weren't funny, and because most of the characters were obnoxious, and because of the phony attempt to add a little pseudo-hip philosophy with a Bruce Willis character. Now, I think Elijah Wood is a fine young actor, and of course, Rob Reiner, the director, has made one terrific movie after another, so I would prefer to consider North as just a very unfortunate aberration in these otherwise admirable careers.
Well, I mean, I think you got to
He's
hold
so mad.
Rob Reiner's feet to the fire here. I mean, he's the guy in charge. He's saying that this is entertainment. It's deplorable. I mean, there isn't a gag that works. You couldn't write worse jokes if I told you to write worse jokes.
And, of course, you could always...
The ethnic stereotyping is appalling.
Yes.
It's embarrassing. You feel unclean as you're sitting there. It's junk. First-class junk.
And then the idea that kids might be lured in by television ads to see this movie about a little child who, you know, throws away his parents and goes shopping for a new set. It's really...
Any subject could be done well. This is just trash, Roger.
Okay.
Yeah, so very famously, shortly after that, this...
And now, at long last,
The worst. The worst movie of 1994, the movie that Roger and I each would least like to sit through a second time. The single worst picture of 94. And I thought about Mixed Nuts, which just came out at Christmas time, but my choice is another cataclysmically unfunny comedy. It's called North, directed by Rob Reiner, of all people, written by Owens Y. Bell, about a boy named North, played by Elijah Wood, who wants to divorce his parents, and so this is sort of trading mom and dad. And the parents he interviews as possible replacements are just one dreadful, unfunny stereotype after another in a film that often looks like outtakes from old travel logs. Here are the Hawaiian parents North meets.
Hawaii is a lush and fertile land. In fact,
with that, our state dish, Eskimo pie.
That's supposed to be humor in the 1990s? North also manages to be quite offensive in a single shot and a joke about a praying Hasidic Jew testing pants, a totally thoughtless, tasteless scene. I know what went wrong with this movie. Everything. It's shabby and it's mean.
Well, Gene, I had to think a long time to pick my worst picture of 1994, about a tenth of a second. And believe it or not, it's the same one that you chose.
Oh, well, this
it's
was a
North.
stunning. It's a stunning.
We kept this a secret from each other, and unfortunately, I think I like it even less than you do, if that's possible. My choice is also North. All of the many different kinds of parents young North auditions have one thing in common. They appear in scenes of startling stupidity and offensive caricature. And one scene in particular that hits a new low in bad taste is this one, where the Eskimo would-be parents and their aged father, played by Abe Vigoda.
Let's go, pal. This is no surprise to you, is it?
Dad!
Right, Dad?
Right here we go.
This movie, I don't know, something just came over me. My fingers on the keyboard had little minds of their own. I was rolling along, writing my usual scathing but civilized comments when suddenly a sinister inner force took over and I found myself typing, and I quote, "I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it," unquote, and so on. Altogether, I used the word hated 10 times. I have to give North credit for one thing, though. When I was preparing for this show, I didn't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out which was the year's worst movie, so it saved me time.
You know, I talked to the writer of this picture. I was so thunderstruck by it. Alan's vibe.
So bad. This is one of the most iconic.
At underscore Java underscore 698 super chatted $5. I get why they hated North. A bad comedy can be dreadful to sit through. Example is Meet the Spartans. I cannot stand that movie.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like bad comedy is really offensive to watch because it's so painful to sit through. Like bad horror can be funny. A bad drama can be funny. A bad action film can still have some cheesy entertainment, or the set design or the choreography is still good. Bad fantasy is a whole subgenre, and I love it. I love watching the cheesy sword and sorcery films from the 80s. Some of them are really bad, but they're fun bad. Mystery Science Theater is all about watching bad films, and a lot of bad films got a second life through ironic enjoyment. But you get that enjoyment through the laughter you get out of it. You have fun with it. You can smile, you can chuckle. There is nothing joyful about a bad comedy. It just is irritating. The worst comedy, I always say, is very similar to horror. If something is horrifying that's so extreme, it actually gets really funny, like what's going on with Obsession. However, if a joke is too gross and too vile, it becomes disgusting and repulsive. It becomes horrific. Horror comedies can walk that line very carefully. A bad comedian, though, can't. The Room is so bad it's good. Yeah, The Room is a great example of a drama so extreme it's really funny. Agreed there. I would love The Room. Yeah, The Room's great.
At Ermanita Rules super chatted $4.99. Take notes, Will. This is what actual angry criticism looks like.
It is. Yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, so this is like one of the great angry reviews. So Roger Ebert actually had a list of the movies he thought were the worst. He had a whole book of them, his written out reviews, and some of them were quite vile, like vicious critiques of movies, I should say. Because you can be very critical of a film. You don't have to love everything, but you have to focus the anger, not just in a generic sort of redundant kind of way. The problem with a lot of angry reviews now is they're inconcise and they usually fall back on generic societal messaging, as opposed to going into a specific perspective of why something does not work in a way that's effective, clean, and powerful. So yeah, that's what we got today. Yeah, I'm gonna make it a short stream today because I'm not feeling totally great. And I've been wearing myself out working on this week's video. It might be a day late only because I'm behind schedule on my own. The topic of the video is going to be whitewashing. It's going to be a follow-up to the video on the Odyssey. We're going to look at whitewashing and blackwashing throughout the course of history and actually analyze the specifics of everything. To go in and go, okay, what does all this mean? Now, I thank you everyone for sitting around for this. I know it was a short stream. Next week will probably be a little longer. I'm hoping to do something fun for the beginning of June with a few guests, hopefully. Maybe a ranking video or a tier list of some kind. I don't know. Be fun. But yeah, thank you everyone for jumping on. Appreciate it. Everyone, have a good one. Take care.